Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get into the final game of the group stages of Rift Rivals 2017, and this is the game that decides who will be seeded into the grand finals. Joining me on the desk this time is going to be Spawn, Jish, as well as Egypt will be here throughout towards the end of the broadcast. Gentlemen, are you guys excited for this final game?
I mean, I'm a little bit scared about the quadcast. I'm not going to lie. This is the first time I've ever done this.
No, we're very excited.
Yeah, I'm keen. I'm real keen.
Well, before we get into this next match, let's take a look at that last game. Legacy were able to take down Ascension, so now Oceania have 3 points, Japan have 4 points. But if Oceania win this next game, due to head-to-head, they'll go into the grand finals. That last game, though, it was a bit of back and forth, but Legacy, after a couple of decisive plays, completely took the lead.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty messy. Like, look in the early engagement in the bot lane, missed the Varasol, Carbon walks in, missed the Flash Cocoon on a stun target. You roasted him midstream on that. That was definitely deserved, I think. So there was definitely a lot of flubs in that game. Definitely very messy, but they pull out the win in the end through good macro, good, decent Baron play. And I think you've got to give some credit to Lucio. I mean, the big brain has drafted themselves a very... I mean, I like the comp. I actually like Karma Jarvan auto-attacking AD carry. I actually think it's like a pretty safe way to play League of Legends. Not sure about the Elise. Yeah, I don't like Elise pick into the Rek'Sai when Rek'Sai is like known as like the answer to Elise right now, and Galio just like falling through the draft until like second phase. That's... I mean, I don't know how big his brain is to let that happen. I roasted him for the Galio. It did get all the way through. I mean, I'm sure that he would have put Tally on something like a Fiora if they had have taken the Galio, so maybe he was prepared with a counter pick. Yeah. And ultimately, they had control of what was going to happen with Galio because they couldn't... Ascension had no way to pick Galio and then ban away counters. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we do have a matchup on your screen there. Lloyd taking on Lost. And this was one of the big points we were talking about. Lloyd is a player that's been to Worlds. He's been renowned as an AD carry. Lost, a rookie, has been playing out of his mind on the OPL. And he took him to the test there. 12-0 and 9 on Varus in that game.
Yeah, sadly it doesn't show kill participation. But we checked in partway through the game, and I'm pretty sure it was 90-something%. Obviously, that wasn't going to gone down too much towards the end. Obviously, more than double his damage. He's just had such a good first performance for a young player. And for the first time in years, Egypt, you will actually be able to go to bed and sleep soundly knowing that someone has dealt with Lloyd after what he was able to do to the Chiefs bottom lane. My last memory of Lloyd is a wildcard tournament and like Raydir jumping in on Tristana and Lloyd just like auto attack Ricochet critting him in the face 4 times. Yeah, and now what people don't remember about that play is you headbutt him into Fog of War. I strategically left that part out of the story, Jake. But anyway, Lawrence Lost has absolutely demolished it in this game. I was watching that game, and then like the game is progressing, yada yada, and then suddenly he's just 6-0, and I'm just like, oh, like okay, like where did this come from? And then just like absolutely clean performance out of him. 12-0-9 is a finishing score. Like,
and yeah, we said all the rookies on the side of Legacy did well in that game. Let's actually talk to one of the veterans from the team, the vice captain Tally, who is standing by with fingers.
Hey guys, I'm here with Tally, fresh off that victory. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty stoked after that game. I'm glad we could bring a win back for the boys.
Well, I mean, yesterday was kind of a struggle for you guys, so what changed in between these games for you to turn it around?
I think our main realization was after our loss to LJL, we kind of figured out like our main problem was like Tim needs to be playing a champion where he could be proactive, and I guess that showed in our game today. Yeah,
but how much? What does it mean for you guys that like Carbon's Nunu is getting banned internationally now? Is that like interesting?
Well, like, to us it's like whatever, but to Tim it's like, he's so happy, and like I don't like seeing someone that happy. It's kind of annoying.
So now the next game for OS is Sin. The hopes of OS rest on Sin. I asked Shern about this yesterday, I asked Juice about it today. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm actually pretty confident in them. Their first game that they played, I think they did pretty well, and in this matchup, I think that they have the edge. I think their playstyle is really good against the LJL team, and I'm really confident they'll do it.
All right, so if OS does take first place, that means they directly seed into the final. So who would you rather them face going to that day 3 if they take first place? Is it LJL or is it GPL?
I personally would rather versus GPL. I do think GAM is extremely good, but I think the other 2 seeds are not as good. But LJL have 3 really good teams, and I think that GPL would be a better match for us.
All right, then. So just fast forward quickly after Rift Rivals is over. When you guys are back in OS, is this going to change anything for you guys in the OPL with having travelled internationally with 2 other teams now?
Oh, most definitely. The experience that we get to pick up here overseas and all these new playstyles and new ways to play the game that we get to bring home will definitely be a surprise to the other teams who didn't get to do it.
Take that, Chiefs. All right, finally, do you have any message for the fans back home who are watching?
Let's go, Os.
Thanks, Tally. We'll speak to you later.
There we go. We got to hear from Tally there. I'm sorry that Josh and Ejim, you had to hear that brutal roasting from
Probably
over
blocked it
there.
out.
A little bit unfortunate, but let's get straight into this next match, shall we? It's going to be the final game of the group stage and the final game of today. Also, the match that decides who will be seeded right into the grand finals. It's going to be Sin taking on Unsold Stuff Gaming.
And I mean, this should be a fun game. I mean, Unsold Stuff, they played a pretty quick tempo against Ascension. They actually sorry, not against Ascension, against Mineski. Were able to like really push them through like a pretty clever composition. And I think that Sin also played pretty quick pace against Mineski as well. It's a little bit scrappier, and I'm interested to see who comes out ahead here.
Sin are coming in hot. Like, that first performance, obviously started very warm, got hotter towards the end of the game. And I think that, Ryoma, obviously the star of that game. I expect to see him, coming in with such strong form that I expect, maybe just a steamroll.
Yeah, people tout Ryoma as like one of the best players in Oceania right now. If he has another performance like that on the international stage, like things are only looking up and up for Sin there. And as Tally said it, buddy, let's ghost. Let's ghost. That's the hashtag coming out of the interview.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is that the day has set itself up perfectly for Sin. They pick up game 1 victory, and then, they get to go back, have a little bit of a quiet chat, and then this team is watching Legacy, continue the steamroll, continue the momentum. They're going to be walking on stage. They're going to be grinning at each other. They're going to be thinking, they're going to be behind the mid laner and Ryoma, and, that's kind of the perfect storm for this team, because they really are that kind of a team that once you start revving them up, they don't come back down in a quick hurry. In fact, Juice, who's a hothead himself, has said in the past, he has to be the coolest person in the room, which is absolutely unbelievable to me. This is going to be a fun game.
Well, speaking of the Sin team, let's take a look at their lineup before they head into their final game. Up in the top lane, it's going to be their new player, Dokla. Their captain, Juice, will be taken to the jungle. Ryoma, after a fantastic first game performance, will be taking his place in the mid lane with FBI and Rogue as their AD carry and support.
And taking odds on the fact that Ryoma's Talia will be banned out of this game.
I mean, they're all looking pretty grim except for Juves there. So, you were just talking about it pretty hothead. He's got a big grin on his face. Yeah, I think the Talia will be banned probably away from the Ryoma as well.
I mean, yeah, who knows? We'll see when Champ Select comes up. We should probably touch on the fact that, Sin are on blue side. We've seen a little bit of favoritism towards blue side throughout the 2 days thus far. I'm kind of excited if they get a slight edge in draft. They can control the OPs, maybe get FBI on, dare I say it, Caitlyn.
Yes.
Ejim's a very big fan. That could be awesome to see Sin get into the game with that.
Yeah, and I mean, that comes down to pencil. I mean, we keep saying it, but if you can get through a draft and you give your team a really good chance, I think especially if they draft towards early game and they draft for a very quick paced game, that this will be... it should be a Sin-favoured matchup. I'm going to agree with Tally.
Well, let's take a look at their opponent. It's going to be Ascension Gaming from Thailand, representing the 3rd seed of the GPL. Up in the top lane for them, Ascension, they're going to be playing... Sorry, not Ascension, Unsold Stuff Gaming from the LGL, representing them as their 3rd seed. It's going to be Upperman in the top lane, Neo heading to the jungle with Remind as their mid laner, Harechi as their AD carry, and Enti as their support.
And I mean, they haven't played for a day and a bit now, Unsold Stuff Gaming. They came in, they looked very good, but they've had a big time to cool off. And also the fact that, I mean, I wonder what the preparation is like. Are they sitting there watching the games as well? Are they, riding the hype of Rampage? Or are they sitting there screaming Detonation Focus Me, who actually didn't have to play today and are actually coming in, also warm?
Yeah, I was about to just completely agree with you and be like, they're definitely watching the games, right? But scrimming, inter-regional sort of thing, they can work on things together, I think would be very valuable. I'm a big fan of that break is a big detriment to them. I think in an international tournament like this, having that big, your first game and then such a big break and then having to come back and all the other teams have played and then it's real rough and you lose your momentum. So I think probably scrimming Rampage would be the best option for them there. But I think they would have definitely done their homework. They definitely would have watched the Sin game early today and have taken things away from that.
And we've already heard from the LGL teams in their interviews that they are working together. So we know that regardless if they're scrimming together, if they're scrimming the opposition, they are working together to make sure that everyone's getting better. And as you've mentioned, Steel as well as a couple other junglers from the LGL have been doing the same jungle path from Rek'Sai, so that could potentially be a big pick between these two teams.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I mean, I just think Rek'Sai, since the changes coming in, has actually been hands down the best jungler to be able to pick up so much early game pressure, scales relatively well. I mean, if you snowball becomes tanky as the game goes on, maybe with a fervor into, Hydra build, isn't the tankiest during the mid game, but just has so many strengths that one little weakness can be at times capitalized.
I feel like for me, definitely going from like the OPL into this tournament, Rek'Sai has definitely cemented itself as like the best jungler. And there's been a lot of first picks, whereas like we consider things like the Caitlyn, like the Elise, although Rek'Sai has emerged as the Elise counter. But a lot of teams are just literally just first picking the Rek'Sai straight away, getting that jungler, and then just not worrying about counter picks. We've seen a Graves into it now. Did all right, but like Rek'Sai still seems to be coming up trumps.
Yeah, in these sort of fast-paced, high-action, early game-centric games, the Rek'Sai who just has that easy flash arm bow is just like so strong that the Graves didn't look great because there was 15 kills before he was relevant. Rek'Sai has looked really strong, and it's really easy to supplement their draft around, because they're just setting up for like these priority lanes, and then Rek'Sai gets the free invade into like the bot side jungle or the top side jungle, starts farming more with his Tiamat, and he becomes very, very strong in his own right.
And where are we looking at on the map between these two teams? Because again, we have big powerhouses like FBI go up against Harechi, two really well-known AD carries. Then you have a lot of utility-based top laners, utility-based junglers going up against one another. Where's the really big heavy hitting point on the map?
I mean, you mentioned the bot lane, right? And in SIN's last game, they did pick the Zarya into the Blitzcrank, and we have seen Unsold Soft Gaming play Blitzcrank. But early in the game, I think their bot lane disrespected it a lot, and SIN's bot lane died to it, like literally during the lane phase. So honestly, if that happens again, I think it will be like kind of a downfall for SIN. I'm worried if they do fall into the same sort of trap. If Unsold Stuff have seen that and are going to draft in a similar fashion to exploit that sort of weakness. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's going to be a game where SIN die top lane to a gank and die bottom lane simultaneously and still come out of an early game relatively even. I mean, that was strange to behold. I certainly agree with you that Rogue was lucky that he was able to pick up some kills and stay relevant damage-wise, because there was a chance that he could have been 0-5 and have absolutely no gold or experience.
That's the point where you're playing Zarya, right? And you get behind. You were planning on building the Leandries. You want to get the Rylai's and the Void stuff, and you're 0-5 against the Blitzcrank. It's like, okay, like I don't care anymore. I'm going Redemption. I'm going Locket. Like, all plans are off. So hopefully that doesn't happen to in this game. I don't know. We'll see how the matchup plays out in the bottom lane.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how that one goes between Unsold Gaming and SIN Gaming. And one of the big things we've talked about for the LGL is how they're kind of relying on their second and third team to pick up wins. That's not the case anymore, because Rampage, they were so dominant in that game, and now they just look like an incredibly dominant region. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't fault them at all. I think that, having said that, I'm still not going to write Unsold Stuff Gaming off. They are very close with their top two teams, and and we have seen that SIN historically just a cut below like all the other teams. So we'll see as the game pans out.
And I mean, you mentioned the region versus region, right? And I am all aboard the SIN hype train right now.
The
and
Cinderella story.
Yeah, as much as I want to see them win this game, I honestly kind of want them to lose. Because I don't want OS... No. I want OS to win the tournament. I don't want OS to get seeded into finals and us have to miss... Like, the King of the Hill format, I think, is so cool. I want to see, like, OS in the, like, 3 versus 3. Oh, no, like, SIN have knocked out. Like, it's trying to put Legacy in there. Like, I think that is such a cool format.
I want to see everyone's heart rate start rising as we start watching games throw, be like, oh my god, we have to win this, we have to win this, we have to win this.
Honestly, that is so exciting to me. As much as I want SIN to take out this game for them, and for like the ease of getting into the finals for us in Oceania, I think it would be so cool.
So you want them to lose because you're selfish and you want to see them play this elimination
absolutely.
format. Oh,
that's I'm just claiming it. I'm absolutely being selfish here.
Three-man death score.
Yeah,
just cut me out. It's fine.
I mean, I in an alternative universe somewhere, Jubes is sitting on the end of this desk because Chiefs won that best of 5. He says that, then you roast him on Twitter. Like, you have to back the boy who's going into
I'm backing the boys to win in the high pressure situation of like the 3 versus 3. Oh no, 2 versus 3, King of the Hill. Like, I've got I'm so much behind the boys that I think they can take that out as well.
Before we get into this game, continue that train of thought. That's why I actually want to see GPL versus the LJL, because I think that the LJL has the potential of like, third seed versus third seed to win until they get to the Gigabyte Marines. And then I actually want to see how many like LJL teams
they can
knock off. Yeah. Like, just line them all up and see whether the Marines can actually just single-handedly pick up an entire region of like 5 countries and physically drag them over a finish line.
I mean, they could still try and do that against Oceania if they drop this match against LGL. That'd be an interesting one to watch, see if Gigabyte Marines can do the exact same thing, but would be a little bit closer. LGL, as we mentioned so many times again, all 3 of their regions are really close. But moving into this game, again, what else are we going to look at from these two teams? We talked about their bottom lane, we talked about picks and bans. What's the big thing that separates Unsold Stuff and SIN?
The star, matchup of this game is going to be Ryoma. I don't think Talia is actually going to, or if it gets banned, whatever, I think that he's actually got far too many champions. We saw him in the Gauntlet last year with the Syndra. That was just nutty.
Orianna?
Like, his Orianna's sick. Like, his
Vladimir?
Corki is pretty good. You know, he plays every assassin in the game.
Yep.
He's just the best player in the world.
Oh, yeah,
IMO.
he's all right. Yeah, no, he's really good, and I think that he definitely deserves us and the community hyping him up. He had a fantastic performance.
So there, it's going to be, the key matchup is Ryoma versus Unsold Stuff Gaming.
Yeah, Ryoma versus the world.
1v5.
No, I mean, obviously his team plays really well with him. We saw him coordinate a lot of things with Talia. So it's not as though he has to carry it single-handedly. But we do see maybe the more traditional bands coming out of Unsold Stuff Gaming already.
Well, let's see if Ryoma has to 1v5 or 1v9 heading to this match against Unsold Stuff Gaming. The hopes and dreams of Oceania rest on Sin's shoulders. Unsold Stuff looking to try and turn the dark horse of the LJL into the clear favourites of Rift Rivals 2017. Oriented picks and bans for this match, and for the first time early this tournament, we have typical red side bans from the LGL squad. Galio, Zach, and Elise hit the bench, and Caitlyn has been locked in for Sin.
And like cheers are literally going down this desk. I mean, EG Magician dancing for some reason. Very excited about the FBI.
Yeah, we
campaign.
both just threw our hands up in excitement and looked at each other immediately. We know that FBI can perform on this champion, so good start to the draft after 4 seconds.
Absolutely. I mean, I just look at the current 80 carry meta, and I don't see a lane where Caitlyn doesn't win. Like, she's just so oppressive in lane. She scales really well. She no longer has that big trough in the mid game. When she gets the IE, the Shiv, the rapid fire, and that's a
Second
Warwick.
Warwick. I mean, that is the second Warwick that we've seen coming out of Unsold Stuff Gaming. It was Warwick Blitzcrank, I believe, that was locked in for them. It was a very fun game. And I think that, I mean, we keep saying it, but as a sole tank on a lineup, Warwick is actually all right.
Yeah, no, not bad. I question whether or not there is
Better than Rek'Sai?
Well, yeah, no, actually, I don't question that. I know it's not better than Rek'Sai. But, you know, are Sin ever going to put priority on that? Do they need to first pick it on the red side? There are still a few things open, like the Thresh, that's just slipped through. So, yeah, I would have probably preferred to see, you know, the hotly contested support pick throughout the whole event.
Because Rek'Sai.
I mean, there's no chance Sin were ever going to take away the Warwick, so picking it up that early probably didn't need to. But I guess you do mention, like, specifically with the Warwick, not many teams in Oceania are playing it, and Sin, we have said in the past, kind of live and die by Jews. In terms of, like, we've been talking about how good Ryoma is and how good FBI is on this Caitlyn specifically, but if Jews has a bad game, or, like, if Jews has a good game, like, that's really the,
That's an anti-pick.
We saw the...
I think that's a remake.
Yeah.
We saw headphones out of Bensel's ears right there.
Bensel was
Something's gone
talking
wrong.
to the tech team there, so let's see if it is going to be a remake here, or if Annie's going to be a new interesting pick that we're going to throw into Rift Rival 2017.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Guys.
Drop out.
That was almost super exciting.
Sit down, guys. You know, not going to be any more big
Who would
picks.
they have given that to? Probably Rogue.
With Thresh.
With
Thresh
Thresh.
going to
yeah,
mid.
no.
No, it's going to be Ryoma.
Ryoma, Annie
Five-man
mid.
Tibbers?
Nah, not at all. Annie top. Looper has like been resurrected from the LPL days. Was the counter pick to Nah. So in case the Nah
Annie.
pick came out, Annie.
What did he build?
AP.
AP.
Oh,
Damage.
Okay. All right.
Items.
Yeah, so unfortunately we had some technical difficulties there. We are going to remake the draft and get back into it. Should be very similar all the way to that Annie pick. But what we really expected as that third pick from Sin should have been the Rek'Sai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm going to say Rek'Sai is like, you know, the comfort, easy pick that they can just take for free. Warwick's not that blind anymore. We saw already played. You know, has Juves prepared a matchup? You know, I don't know. I don't know what wins, but like, is there a matchup that wins?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. And like as I was saying, right before the Annie got locked in, I was saying like Sin do live and die by Jews. Like he hasn't had that much practice into the Warwick, I assume, unless they've been scrimming this team specifically a lot at this tournament. He wouldn't get that practice in OS. So it's interesting. This is kind of, for me, I guess, kind of a risky move, or like not a risky move that Sin opted into, but that like a situation that they found themselves in, right? Like, can Jews live up to this Warwick sort of thing?
Is there any players that run around O solo queue with Warwick?
I mean,
Not really?
there's one, but he's not in OS at
He's
the
not
moment.
even
Yeah, he's in Korea. Guts is
on holiday.
Yeah.
He's not even in the OBL anymore, so he's gone away.
I think he was the only player in the OPL to actually play Warwick as well when he was back on XR5.
Yeah. So
I think that was a verse. Wait, it was verse us, and we banned 5 junglers. So he had nothing else. Warwick just got released, and he's like, "Well, the whole pool's gone, so like, I've been playing a bit of this one. Let's pull it out.
Yeah, because I remember Guts playing it, so that's what I was trying to think. Like, has Juves actually ran into it enough times, at least in solo queue, to understand what out skirmishes it? Because he does a surprising amount of damage, and you don't really do all that much damage to him. So I think it's about finding yourself on the opposite side of the map and having much better gank paths on things, you know, like Elise, like Rek'Sai, maybe even like Gragas, that you can like kind of match tankiness late game and have a bigger early game impact.
But I mean, yeah, Warwick's just so weird, and then he has that blood scent that gives him so much. That potentially is just so much random move speed. Like if your top lane takes a bad trade and he just gets the move speed to just run there and gank sort of thing, it's kind of, if you haven't had a lot of practice, it's very hard to actually predict. It's not like I don't know, against like a Nocturne or something, like you know the cooldown of his ulti, right? Like you know exactly when it's going to be up. Like with the Warwick, it's very unpredictable, and they've come back with an Annie. Again?
Hello?
No, this will be just, we're seeing the bands come in now, so it's a visual bug.
Visual bug. Good.
Oh, okay.
False alarm, guys. Definitely not getting an Annie game.
I was, yeah, okay. I was like,
For a second, I thought Oceania was
been.
being punished for something there, and I was about to get very scared for Sin. But
Yeah.
yep, just a visual bug. They are going through the bands again. And we're going to have to sit back down again, because they're coming back to us. No more stand up.
I've actually got more exercise in the last couple of seconds than I've had in a few days. I'm just jumping up and down off this seat.
Oh, my. I know you did leg day yesterday. Bryce, are you having fun sitting up, standing down
I was
again?
still sitting down. I didn't jump the gun at all. I was
I
chilling.
did leg day too. I just wasn't complaining about it. I think no, actually, no. I had a really a good point that's nothing to do with muscle groups or the gym. So let's put that away.
Forget that.
Yeah, no. What was interesting to see was that kind of is it unfair to Rampage? You see that they'd shown Tahm
Pick the
Kench,
Tahm.
so that was their answer to Thresh. And you know, does that change the jungle pick? Do we see? I mean,
I guess it's slightly unfair in that like Sin picked the Annie and then they already showed the Tahm Kench, but it's not like it was a cheesy pick that they couldn't see coming. Like you pick Thresh and then like someone answers with Tahm Kench. It's not that.
And
not
it
that
also
uncommon.
depends on what was communicated to the referee, right? If straight away you're like, there's a bug, that Annie is supposed to be X, and then they lock in Tahm Kench, there is no unfairness, because, I mean, that would have been communicated to the team. So we'll see exactly what's happening there. You see, just getting a Champions Select remake.
I mean, I assume Unsold Stuff Gaming are going to have the option to repick the Tahm Kench because it became, like they could change it to something else if they,
true.
Choose so. But I mean, depending on what the Annie is, it's very unlikely to change the Tahm Kench pick, given that the bot lane was already picked up by Sin.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was their comms died on the stage, so they couldn't actually communicate with their coach, hence they couldn't actually
So
lock
they
anything
picked
in.
Annie, picked the first champion on the list. Oh, it's not, no. Aatrox is up there. I don't know.
Yeah, but speaking of that Tahm Kench pick, is very popular to be used into the Thresh pick. Both of them were left up. Neither one was banned out during Champions Select. So I still personally don't feel it gives anything away. I still think Sin go for Rek'Sai here, because there's not really any other junglers left up besides maybe Lee Sin to run into this Warwick.
Yeah, but you mentioned like the Tahm Kench pick, right? And into the Thresh, it's just to deny. I still think Rogue can just... He doesn't have to do anything in that lane, right? It's Caitlyn into Varus. Caitlyn outranges the Varus. Rogue can just play Lantern Thresh, for lack of a better word, and just sit around and just watch FBI just poke away at the Varus, and they will get chunks, and they can just play the lane that will have priority, and then Rogue will get into a position where he can get the Moby boots and just roam around the map.
And that's a big thing. I mean, it doesn't even have to come down to Moby boots. I mean, countless time we've seen Threshers and Caitlyn's, you know, push in wave 2 and 3, get level 3, and then disappear into jungle, you know, take away blast cones, take away plants. All of a sudden, if you add a jungle to that mix, that actually becomes a legitimate kill.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, the lane is not great, but the big thing that you want from the Tahm Kench is that, you know, when you get in the later stages of the game and you're face checking sort of dark areas of the map, Tahm Kench does save you a lot from that hook. So the lane, you know, it's a survived lane, try to lose your turret against Caitlyn, but even if it is slow and doesn't do heaps in lane, you know, it is really, really strong later in the game.
It's also a pretty good response to Talia, because if Talia is all of a sudden 1-3-1ing, or, you know, mid lane wave clearing and attacking a side lane, Tahm Kench takes another person to that lane, and, you know, you'll all of a sudden have an even fight.
I mean, Harechi as well as NT are going up against a Caitlyn and a Thresh, and this is FBI as well as Rogue's one of their best champions.
I
Rogue's
would
best
say
champion.
it's their best.
What did
that is their best
he
bot lane
say
matchup,
against
honestly.
you when you guys gave him Thresh in the OPL gauntlet?
What did he say?
I think he said, ban Thresh or I'll beat you, didn't
Oh,
he?
okay. No, I do remember that, actually, yeah. I mean, I picked Lulu. I had a wobbly Lulu performance, for lack of a better word, and I died at level 1. But
is this a confidence play from Harechi and NT, or is it just them going, you know what, we just picking what's going to try and counter this pick?
No, it's just utility, right? Obviously, you're not going to get too much that is going to beat the Caitlyn Thresh lane. So you want to keep your turret health alive as long as possible. and find pressure points elsewhere on the map, because you'll have great team fighting later.
And the other reason I think it's also really good for Sin at this point is that they're going to be able to pick up a jungle. That pool won't get pinched. They know it's against a Warwick. And then you guarantee at least one counter pick in the solo lane. And I think that hopefully, if they're scared of Ryoma, so take a blind top lane, Dockler actually gets the counter pick. So on blue side, they might be able to manifest a way that they actually get counter pick for top lane, which is huge for this team.
And I'm curious to see where that extra pressure point is going to be for Unsold Stuff Gaming, because as far as I know, Warwick doesn't provide a lot of pressure in the jungle pre-6. And bottom lane at the moment, Varus, Tahm Kenshi into Caitlyn, Thresh, that's not a lane that they're going to have much pressure on.
Yeah, so what Warwick does is he has like pretty decent tracking if you have low HP clearing junglers. And so, you know, full knowledge now, I expect to see Juves definitely take the Rek'Sai, who's going to clear on like near full HP.
Yeah.
One risk you could probably have is like the Kha'Zix, who gets a bit lower. Graves, Graves actually doesn't take damage. That's irrelevant. No, but yeah. So if he's taking Rek'Sai, clearing on full HP, it should be really hard to get an early read on Juves, especially if he takes one of these, you know, unconventional, quote-unquote cheesy paths, and he tries to get, you know, an advantage via ganking. That's going to be a massive point for you know, Sin to work off.
But the big thing for Warwick is he used to have a horrible pre-level 6 gank. Now, at least, if you get in behind someone, if you have the fear on and you're able to follow the flash, you actually have okay pressure. I'm not going to go out and be like he's the best pre-6 ganker, because he certainly is not. He gets better as the game goes on, but certainly still has options in the early game.
Well, we are back into Champion Select for Sin taking on Unsold Stuff Gaming. As I mentioned earlier, this is the hopes and dreams of Oceania on the line on their third seed. Sin, because a win here would take them to the grand finals, whereas the LJL coming as the dark horse again to an international event, look to try and secure their spot 5-1 at the end of the group stage as the clear favorites going into the grand final. So we're back to the position where we were before. Juves has locked in Rek'Sai as the jungle of choice, and we should see a Thresh pick here for Rogue.
I thought he just locked in the vein then, and I was like, oh no, not again.
No, I like to say that.
Yeah.
It's such like a rounded like start to your composition. You've shown nothing. There's nothing that gives away this is a 1-3-1, this is team fight, this is hard split pushing. You know, he hasn't shown damage split or anything. Like, you still have 2 blind solos here. Whereas, you know, on the other side, you already have like 2 potentially weaker areas of the map. A bot lane that'll get shoved in, a jungler who can be abused early. So I actually really, really rate this draft from Bensel.
And the other thing that they have is like they have Caitlyn traps, Rek'Sai Tremor Sense, as well as the fact that you can Lantern Brushes late game if you do fall behind and you need to get wards out. They actually have like pretty good like ability to control vision and keep themselves nice and safe. So it's a good offensive, but it's also not a bad defensive comp either. It's hard to siege into all of those champions.
Yep, definitely not. Unsold Stuff Gaming, though, their first ban is a Z ban, and Sin respond with a Jax ban here. That's very unusual bans to be throwing out.
Yeah, this is obviously maybe a little bit of scrim leaking into the event. Not too uncommon. There's the Talia ban as well. So obviously paying a lot of respect to Ryoma. Potentially champions, he might look to blind pick depending on the matchup. Otherwise, they're just bringing out a blind pick mid here, and they have the answers like banned away.
Syndra
the
is
final
still
ban.
Yeah, so I don't think Syndra get picked just because the answers to Syndra are up. So there's the Echo, which is the most common answer.
Fizz.
Vladimir's still up. Fizz, mine and Spawn's favorite.
And
but
Ryoma
yeah,
is
so
good at actually all of his champions, to be honest.
He might throw the gauntlet here.
Look how
Remind.
excited that.
He wants to pick up the
Does he do it?
Syndra.
Oh, there we go.
Changes over. Probably going to lock in
Makes much more
Cassiopeia
sense.
instead.
now I expect Ryoma to take either the Kassadin or he takes the Syndra here.
Let's see if he throws the gauntlet himself, picks up an assassin in the
Ori.
mid lane.
Ori's gone.
Ori's
ban.
gone, yeah.
I would rather the Kassadin, and I think the Syndra, her ulti damage can just get absolutely eaten by Tahm Kench. He just devours the person who gets ultied, and then you do absolutely nothing. So I would prefer to see the Kassadin here, but he does
Too bad,
opt
I'm
for
right.
the Syndra.
No, he says,
All
thank
right.
you so much for not taking an answer to my champion. I'll play it into you.
Yeah, actually, and not even an answer. I think the Syndra actually has a good matchup into Cassio. So Cassio looks to bully early and train heavily.
Insta-lock.
Hey, I wasn't finished talking about whatever. The next exciting matchup. I think that the Gnar is actually one of those picks that we're going to see a lot more of, especially come 7-13. I know teams around the world are already picking it, and many more have to be practicing it.
And into Renekton as well.
It's at the same time, Gnar wins. Yes, the early game power that is coming out of Sin Gaming is so much more than Unsold
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
For a team that we saw play early game and play it very well, to draft what is like 2.5 losing lanes because Na can get the hop interrupted by Rek'Sai, and there is legitimate kill threat again in that 2v2. I think is a very risky trend against a team that likes to play fast.
I mean, they've just completely flipped their game plan, right? So it's either like a confidence that they can play multiple styles and they're happy to pick this up, or it could be their downfall. It's going to be really rough for their bottom side of the map. I think Juve should be able to get a lot of work done down there. Caitlyn's going to push in the bot lane. Ryoma's going to push in the mid lane, and then Juve should have free reign.
Yeah, I think the Japanese team's obviously been saying that they've been working each other, helping each other out. They've completely misread Sin. This is maybe the best composition you can give Sin to take a victory. So any contention I had in the air, you know, will they win? Will it be close? They have the blue side of out the window. Pretty confident here that Sin take this.
I'm curious now, though. Do
Bubble.
Unsold stuff have a single answer in Tahm Kench to 2 of the champions picked up by Sin? Because it does work into Syndra as well throughout the mid to late game.
I mean, sure, in mid to late, that's true. But what the worst nightmare is Syndra's going to be pushing into Cassio. They're going to be pushing into bottom lane. Rek'Sai has priority all out throughout the jungle. They're just going to push in. I mean, if Tahm Kench gets to level 9 in this game, something's gone wrong along the way. Because this should be a very quick one.
So the one thing that maybe does throw a spanner in the works here is that obviously Sin are going to be looking to trading a lot early. The Renekton is going to want to try shove in pre-first base and pre-first item because that's the one window he has to win this matchup. Syndra obviously always going to be trading, and that will give way to Warwick, you know, getting his blood sense, getting him to be able to run around the map super fast and be a nuisance.
We'll have to see how this one pans out. The final game of the group stages decides who gets sent into the grand final. Sin taking on Unsold Stuff Gaming. We laughed about it a little bit yesterday that hopes and dreams are on Sin, but it's actually become true. And maybe finally they can take their Cinderella story all the way.
And who was it yesterday that took a Cogmore into a Caitlyn lane?
Ooh, that
Rampage.
Rampage.
Yeah, so it was Rampage. And we saw that was a pretty one-sided affair. I mean, the Cogmore just never came online.
Yeah.
And Varus does have utility, but also is a little bit... If you wanted to go pure utility, you probably would have gone Ashe. Varus has a little bit more of a damage threat. I feel like this is one of those lanes that if you lose too hard, you don't really get to come online as a Varus.
Yeah, definitely. If you get 6-minute turreted by the Caitlyn, like that's going to be an absolute disaster, especially in a situation like this where
Outback Crocodile. New favorite top laner
There we
of the OPL. That is...
he's an import as well, and he's using the Aussie skin.
That's the way.
On Summoner's Rift.
Raise
There we
your
go.
koalas for Dokla. He's a true bloke at the moment.
But as I was saying, right, as of the Tahm Kench in this situation, he's got a lot of pressure on him. NT has a lot of pressure on him this game. Into the Syndra, into the Thresh, we were saying he has a lot of pressure to deny those picks. But if their bot lane falls too far behind, he may have to invest in something like a QSS, right? There's CC coming out of Syndra, out of Renekton, out of Thresh, out of Caitlyn traps. There's so much CC where in these comps, Tahm Kench just becomes the target. And if he falls behind and then has to invest more gold, it's going to be a disaster for him.
And the worst thing for USG has just happened. They actually have just spawned Fire Drake, first dragon off the rank, into what is a losing mid lane and a losing bottom lane matchup. So, I mean, you've already got Syndra, Renekton, Caitlyn that all use Fire Dragons incredibly well. That is some RNG bad luck.
Let's see how this game pans out. Nothing happening very early into the match. Everyone just fanning out. Now, Rogue and FBI getting some chip damage onto Enti in the bottom lane. And we'll have lane priority for level 1. Warwick going to start at his red buff with a small leash from Apperman on Na. And it seems like Rek'Sai will start at the Raptor camp.
Yeah, so what's really good about that is that Juves did go topside, scouts out that Warwick is very likely to be starting top. Doesn't know if it's red or Raptors. Judging by the Warwick pick, I think you can only start red. Someone in the world, correct me if I'm wrong. But they get no read on Juves here. Ryoma doesn't leash him, and Juves solo clears, so they actually don't know where he starts here. And this is really important. We see a bit of trading going down, as expected. Sin bottom lane, going to bully them to start with.
So Warwick will be able to make his way down towards bottom side of the river. As you mentioned, we'll have to see where Juves goes. Big flay still coming out of Rogue. Even dodges the turret shot there. Not having a good time in this bottom lane, Herechi and Anti.
Yeah, even though Herechi and Anti have won the skin war, the Heartseeker Varus and the blue Tahm Kench, they've absolutely come up trumps. They are losing the trades level 1, which means they're not going to contest the wave for level 2. FBI and Rogue have already hit it, as you can see on the side, and they're probably just going to get zoned a bit.
You can see that straight away with that push, Rogue leads. He's going to look to hit the plan. He's going to look to track out Neo. And all of a sudden, even though they're shoved in, there is relatively low gank pressure coming out of that Warwick.
Yeah, and this is perfect for Juves. Obviously, he gets a great read on the enemy jungler. He's back topside. And, you know, now Dokla gets to start playing aggressive because Juves is going to be possibly a threat up there.
He doesn't hit the blast plane on the way out, though. I think that's a minor adjustment he probably should have done. But They will be relatively safe. It's very hard for the Tahm Kench to get on you in the bottom lane.
Neo might have just avoided that ward place down and blast cone his way over instead. Decides to walk around instead.
Oh, he's looking.
Yeah, so he's actually avoided that ward by walking into the lane. So, Sin don't know this is happening. This is going to be a big game coming out from Warwick. They try to lock down Rogue first. He dodges the final acquired taste from NT with his flash. Neo does jump in, gets a double fear. Rogue is still the target. Big heal coming out from FBI. And they turn it around. The creeps dealing a ton of damage. FBI still trying to fight this one. That's Juves doing a Raptor cam. I want to watch bottom lane. They're smacking them.
No, well, that's actually really important to bring on. But look how much they expend to try get that gank to work. You know, Warwick has to base now. He's losing the top side of his map. And we head back to the desk. No, I think that just as we were seeing there, guys, it was really good that we see all the punish bot that, you know, they get out. They play it really well. You know, he doesn't get hit by that third stack on Tahm. And then Juves' immediate response goes straight towards Raptors. And now I'm pretty sure he's heading towards Krugs.
Yeah, and I mean, the biggest thing here is that bottom side only really had kill threat as long as Tahm Kench had summoner spells.
And now he doesn't.
Now he doesn't.
He doesn't have the exhaust to get on you. If you run at the Thresh, he's just going to flay you away. You're not going to get the 3 stacks on the passive. You're not going to be able to devour them and spit them into the knock-up. So that is their opportunity in the bot lane gone, at least until level 6, at least until the Varus gets the ultimate. Yeah, real rough for them, ganking into the wave.
And look at the CS discrepancy in the bottom lane as well, 29 to 14. Sin is still absolutely fine down here.
Yeah, and so he doesn't end up taking the 2 top camps, but he does get 2 really good wards. So now Neo has to base and run out topside, only has camps to clear here. Oh, he does!
He does, he counter-jungled both of them.
Okay, Juves being the old school counter jungler actually just leaves 1 camp there for like to the extended respawn time.
Oh, and this is even better because he's read the gank. So all of a sudden they actually have Dockler with priority here. Apperman's going to go big, so he's not going to be as annoying.
Look at Dockler
and Neo
baiting.
Actually commits.
They jump onto Neo first. Dockler taking a lot of damage, slices away from the stun. He still gets speared up. He has to back out somehow. First blood is picked up by the Na'Vi. Neo heals up. This is going in favor of Unsold Stuff Gaming. Throws out the boulder. Double kill picked up by Na. Big outplay from Unsold Stuff.
That is massive. Upperman just comes up, saves that early game. All of a sudden, they're going to have pressure in at least 1 lane. And you have to think, with 2 lanes winning for Sin, should they have taken that team fight?
I mean, that is the wild card that is Warwick. Clearly, they don't have any experience against a top 2v2 with a Warwick in it. So, you know, really good read from Juves. You know, he does have his number marked. I think one huge thing there was that he hadn't based, so he didn't have items, and that just makes the 2v2 a lot harder.
And they chose to try and focus down the level 3 Warwick, and you were very, very strong on this opinion, Spawn. The amount of damage reduction he gets when he goes into that fear mode is just tremendous. They couldn't kill him.
But I mean, like on paper, you don't want to be going onto the Gnar that's about to pop into Mega, right? He's just going to stun you, and then the Warwick gets all his combo off, and here we see it again.
Yeah, no, really good bait, I guess, from Dockler. He flirts on the edge of danger. Clearly, they just don't have the damage output, having not bought anything. And Dockler gets killed out quickly. Juves stays around, thinking he can get that final kill. Obviously, Warwick too tanky, gets health back. And then this is actually just a really nice cue from Apperman.
Yeah, one minor thing, in the beginning of the gank, you see Dockler cheating down to the river. I would have liked to see him walk further back in the lane. The wave was coming. They would have taken the 2v2 inside the wave. Would have had a lot more damage coming from the minions, but he cheated towards Juves instead, and they didn't get the CC on Warwick until he got his Q.
Ryan has just killed Remind Summoner, by the way.
Through barrier. And blows his flash.
Without level 6.
Summoners.
Didn't use his ultimate.
Yeah, big pickup by him.
Here we go.
Here we go again.
Juves did come in for a gank, and he's going for another one. Nero now in trouble. Rama taking up the turret, throws out his ultimate, gets his 2nd kill with the help of his captain, now tying up the goal.
And he's gone Dark Seal. He's got 4 stacks. Tommy is absolutely popping off on Summoner's Rift today.
Spawn's clapping from the caster desk. He can't hear you from here, mate, but absolutely phenomenal there. You know, knows the limits of the champion, and as I said before, like, very good matchup, and he's ready to punish.
Big play from Juves as well. Goes top lane, dies, gets immediately 2 assists in the mid lane for Ryoma as well. Make sure they have a very strong winning lane.
Yeah, keeps composure. We said that he can be emotional and he can swing between, you know, maybe 2 extremes. Obviously, he's kept a cool head here. And, you know, now they're starting to see advantages across the map. Sure, they're a bit behind top. Jungle's recovered, and their bot lane is still doing really well.
But I mean, like, this just leads into exactly what we were talking about in the pregame, right? Like, looking at the matchup, this is where Sin want to play, and as I don't get the flay into the trap there, Rogue was looking for it. But like they just want to play and commit to that style that they were going for in the bot side of the map, right? They had the pushing in mid, already has kills. The bot lane has got ganked, blown the summoners from the Tahm, so they're going to be fine pushing in as well. Absolutely looking really good for...
Well, here's that play in the mid lane. The first kill onto Remind
through
barrier and through flash. Big stun, and Rogue comes in for a hook. Jules will come up for the assist as well.
Look at this. They just set it up for each other. I mean, play back into knock up. That's just actually really good team communication, and that's what the pushing bottom lane gives. I mean, he doesn't have Moby boots at this stage, but just has the freedom to leave the lane.
Yeah, and we said that, you know, this is a composition that they're definitely comfortable on, and they're showing that they know the limits of these champions very well. Playing off the back of each other, set up a very nice gank, and, you know, that advantage they just got topside, immediately nullified, well, not nullified, but at least they're making an advantage elsewhere on the map for Sin.
And I mean, you kind of have to float the idea of have Unsold Stuff Gaming, and I guess as they were working with the rest of the LGL, have they done their proper research onto Sin? Because, I mean, I'm from OS, right? And then you look at this comp, like Thresh on Rogue, and then Caitlyn on FBI, and then you have the Syndra on Roma. Like, how did this happen? This is just like their best champions, their
Mexican
best
standoff from the two junglers, by the way.
You're on award,
Just
mate.
chilling.
No, what is, I guess, important to see is that we see 2 members from Sin floating down for this 40% HP turret. A big hook lands, and I think this will be go time.
Jules looking to try and wrap around. He's got Ryan in his back pocket as well. Herechi and Enti have to be careful. That turret is low, and FBI is chipping away slowly. Ultimate
Cassio's
comes out.
coming.
Neo jumps in, suppresses him. Big counter dive. Good dark passage. Reminders here, no flash available for the Cassiopeia. He has to get into a good position, but deterred away by Ryoma. Sin back out, but Unsold Stuff, the repel to dive. Eat comes out from Enti. Make sure Neo stays safe. And Sin are still pushing
But
for
that's
this
enough
turret.
pressure to get them to back away because all of a sudden Neo can't go there. Actually, Remind continues to cheat down, and with no Judes, they can't go for it.
This is fine though. They're just like they're absorbing pressure and they're making USG react to them. You know, they're making the proactive moves. They're going to get the base off fast now. Syndra, well, actually, I guess Remind just runs straight back to mid lane. But they're not punishing anything that Sin's doing now. Like, Sin have the tempo.
And they're going to be able to chip away that bottom lane out of turret to take it as first brick whenever they like, because Na is freezing lanes top side of the map and not pushing into Renekton.
Yeah, I think it's rinse and repeat, right? Ryoma gets back to lane. He just regains control. Juice can clear a couple camps here and there, maybe get a little bit of vision topside, and then they just go back to that bot lane dive again.
And here you see the Lantern Thresh coming into action, man. Rogue was just, as I say that, and he lands the hook, but he was just sitting behind Caitlyn. FBI just looking to take pot shots at the turret, take pot shots at Varus, who now has no mana. Enti's sitting on half HP as we look towards mid.
Yep, Remind was just forced to use his ultimate there.
And I think that's probably going to be bot turret. The bot lane is basing. Sin are just going to push this wave up, realize they're not there, and probably just take the last few hits on that turret. That's going to be first blood going over to them. I'm curious as to whether Rogue gives all the gold over to FBI, and it looks like he is.
Yeah, he is. It's definitely a smart move out of the support. Obviously, Caitlyn really wants to get to those item spikes, as every AD carry, I guess. But no, really important here. And I think we're seeing, do we see the lane swap here, I guess, is coming? No, they're coming straight back to
They're going
lane.
for the dragon. They want the fire drake, so you can
Neo.
actually no. Maybe they just want the kills because they get out.
Consolation fire dragon,
Yeah.
maybe.
But what should happen now is they're going to take Fire Drake. That wave's going to be so deep that now the Oceanic bottom lane just swaps to the top lane because then they get the tempo advantage. You have a late game comp already. You're going to win the late game most likely without the Fire Dragon, and yet you're still accumulating the same late game advantage.
I actually think this is pretty good for Sin here. If they go topside and get a free Rift Herald and they can use that Rift to break open the mid turret, like that is much better than the Infernal Drake that they could have gotten the bottom side. Because yeah, as you said, Unsold Stuff Gaming is so much down in tempo, they have to catch that bot wave that's in their inner, as Sin are already hitting the top side of the map.
They're walking up with a cannon creep wave as well. I mean, just everything, like every little part of the map that can go right for Sin is actually going right.
Yep. You see pings coming out from Sin to show that the bottom lane is pushing in. Doppler top side of the map. He's still 10 CS up over Upperman, and in fact only 600 gold behind the Gnar, which is those 2 kills he's picked up. So doing just fine top side of the map. And Sin have rotated everyone up there. Let's see if they can take down this turret in time. Enti is moving up to try and defend that turret. Neo wants to take his Raptor camps, but Herechi is still bottom side of the map.
And this vision control from Sin is actually so clean. To see 4 really well-placed pink wards in the... Oh, big hook.
Lands a hook,
No,
decides
never
not to go in on
Small
Enti.
hook.
That turret is very low. Neo is up here looking to see if he can defend this turret with Upperman and Enti.
And honestly, I do think Sin have misplayed this. I think they kind of overcommitted for this top lane out of turret. I would have liked to see Thresh and Caitlyn sitting up there, taking pot shots at the turret. Caitlyn would be fine because of the Lantern, whilst Doppler and Juves did the Rift Herald, but instead they kind of all in for the turret, went for like a small hook, as you called it, didn't get much out of it, and they don't have the Rift Herald. So all in all, the Fire Drake trade from Unsold Stuff has actually worked out for them.
But it doesn't mean they can't get it later, right? They still have the control topside, and I think that, you know, as this wave gets pushed in by Ryoma, he can flow back towards topside, and Juves is still around. He's looking to go under the turret right now.
Let's see what they do. Renekton is now bottom lane, does have teleport, so they can turn the fight in their favor if they choose to. Horechi is slowly making his way up. Sin might try and brute force this one. Hook lands into a trap, into the flame, knock-up as well. He didn't eat him, Enti couldn't save him, and FBI gets the kill.
You really hate to see it when the Tom Kent
no.
hits Minion with the W.
That's a tragedy.
That is a tragedy.
I mean,
That's
this is a
delta.
3,000 gold lead for Sin Gaming at this point. They have their teleport user on the bottom side of the map, creating pressure. He's probably just going to be able to walk up, and this should be a free Rift Herald if Ryoma is able to continually push out mid lane. I mean, there's not really many responses at this stage because you just don't have the wave clear to be able to match the Caitlyn range.
And they've got a 3,000 gold lead to work with. So if they pick up Rift Herald, that could mean another turret. Mid lane Outers at half health as well.
And I mean, they've taken both the Outers on the side lanes as they do back away from the Rift Herald.
I mean, Enti uses the ultimate to get in there,
Yeah.
so there's no point to actually continue that fight. You're already pushing in mid, you're getting big CS advantages.
And they're taking the blue off as well. So they push in, they start pressuring around the Rift Herald. They force Unsold stuff and Enti to use the ult to get to Rift Herald. Ryoma just takes his blue.
And all of a sudden, with long lanes, one of the ways that you get back into the game with Tom Kench is, you teleport with the ultimate in behind, maybe the lane, and you look to trade. Instead, they've used it purely as a reactive measure to stop another objective, and that means that this tempo lead, it's just slowly building up. They're missing a creep wave here and there. You can see the CS leads are starting to get out of hand. 10 in the mid lane, 30 in that 80 carry position, and that just means that these early game champions are going to get to their mid game spike.
And I mean, you look at the Caitlyn, right? He's already finished the static shiv. He's already got tier 2 boots, and Varus is just sitting on components for his Bork. He has absolutely nothing going for him right now. When Sin, I say when because I really want them to pick up this Rift Herald. Like when they pick that up, if they pick that one up and break the mid outer, I think USG are really going to struggle to keep controlling their jungle. And Sin just have so many tools to make picks with, right? They have the Tremor Sense to see people coming. They have the Thresh Hook. They have the Syndra Stun. And they have Caitlyn just taking pot shots at people from miles away. And it's just going to be a really rough game for USG going forward.
Well, let's see if Cindersun is set up for this Rift Herald. They do have 4 members topside with Doppler still split pushing against Upperman. Upperman does have the Black Cleaver just to the components of Doppler at the moment. Does have a favorable split pushing lane.
Yeah, so as you've said, this is going to be one. Oh, doesn't matter. They're going to punish mid, but yeah, this is one of the times when Nara is going to be really punishing it, and it's important that Sin do something on the map here. If they let Nara just split push with that item advantage, gosh, that's a lot of help.
Does Ryoma miss skill shots? I mean,
Pretty sure we decided he was the best player in the world, so I'm going to go with no.
Sin are going to use this time to try and take down Rift Herald for themselves. This has been spotted out by Unsold stuff. They do move their way forward. Neo trying to track them out. Hook doesn't land from Rogue, but does fight him back.
they're going to fight here.
Fear's going to
Teleports are
come
coming in.
out. Teleports are coming in. They have jumped on towards Ryoma. There is a dark passage there, but he can't get on in time. Doppler's got a deep flank, but he doesn't have his mid laner to work with. Still going in. He's on top of Horachi. Stuns up the Gnar. Looking for a kill there. Will dice out to get a big hook onto the Warwick as well. Neo gets eaten up. Big snipe coming out from Horachi to get him from the back lines. Neo still going in. So much healing coming out of the Warwick, and he's being grounded. Big snipe from FBI. Can't get to the dark passage again, but Horachi goes big and gets a triple kill.
And all of a sudden, he's back in the game. The Varus has just picked up the triple. All of that early game pressure turns around because Sin decided to fight, and they should have just left the objective, continue to pressure the turrets. I mean, that Warwick stayed alive forever.
Yeah. I mean, this just speaks to them not having experience against the Warwick, right? Like, the lifesteal tank comes out trumps. He goes in here, almost gets hooked. I think he gets eaten out of CC here. They go on the Syndra, and because she just gets ulted by the Varus, she doesn't get to take the Dark Passage. Gnar comes in the backside, and this is just a battle of which tank will die first, and Doc was just much tankier. Gnar flashes away. And yeah, this whole time, Warwick's like full HP, doesn't die here.
Yeah, so I think like the crucial point there is that Ryoma, like he eats, important skill shots. And he is their like money point here. So the fight continues on, but there's no like great damage threat. FBI is doing a bit, but you can't do enough without his mid laner.
Yeah, and the big thing is that at this stage, Syndra is really that damage threat. And if the eat is burnt on someone else, that should mean that Ryoma has burnt someone off the map. They should no longer be a factor in that team fight. And
So
unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Unsold stuff moved towards a Mountain Dragon. Both Neo and NT looking for this one instead.
Take two.
They're going to have to try and use the Time Catch ultimate to get towards the Rift Herald. Do they fight for it again? It's at half health. Horachi still has double buff and a freshly shopped Blade of the Ruined King.
And Apperman's on the way too. So I feel like Sin make the right call there. They start backing off. Renekton doesn't get priority in that lane, and so they do have to, just back off, go regain control of mid. And I think that Unsold stuff take the Dragon here.
And I think that Sin are actually walking into river a little bit too much. I think they should just be playing the lane. They should be setting up Caitlyn traps. I would be surprised if FBI put more than 3 points in his queue. You don't really need it to bully out a Tahm Kench lane. So he should have nearly max level traps at this stage of the game, and they should be able to see.
So they're on Herald again. Everyone from Unsold stuff is making their way up, but staggered. So they trade Mountain for Herald, and Unsold stuff have priority mid lane. Let's see if they can take the turret.
I mean, that's a fine trade, really. Sin don't have power here, despite the gold lead. I think that now that they've traded those objectives, they're going to want to reset. And as Spawn said, they're going to want to get into this, not a 1-3-1. They want to get into 1-4. Probably Syndra doesn't want to float to a side lane too much. But they do need to use this Riptail to start cracking open the turret. Otherwise, Appman's going to do this.
Looking to try and take down this bottom lane at all by himself. Dockler's been sent down to deal with the split pushing Nah. 3 members of Sin will head back to base from the mid lane. They still have a turret advantage, 3-0, which is massive against Unsold stuff at the moment. It should be the entire gold lead that Sin have acquired as well.
I mean, that's Caitlyn for you, really. We saw that she just got free chip damage bot lane. She went top, did the same thing there. And obviously, Tommy having control of mid lane, that's where he got the advantage from that.
And the only real turret they look like they can take at the moment is that bottom lane turret. The other turrets are actually incredibly healthy. So this isn't like, 70% turrets hitting one team fight, you clean up the whole map and you've got a big gold swing. The only lane they're going to have pressure in is that one. So it's a 4-man unit playing against a 1-man unit right now. And this comes down to execution.
And as you say that, Anti actually picked up the mobility boots on Tahm Kench, which is fairly interesting in my opinion. I was saying how much CC is coming out of the Sin lineup. But as you were saying, like the 3 turrets to none, right? It's really weird to be in that situation where USG have the... as they're looking for a diver.
Yeah, looking for a diver Dockler to bring Tahm Kench down as well. Anti's here, but they peel back off. They can't get onto the Renekton in time. This will be a turret. Can they trade for something? Because they're top lane with Rift Herald.
Or do they... Yeah, that's actually a good point. Rift Herald is up there. That should be an inner turret. So, Sin, read the play.
Look at Rogue at the moment, cutting off the jungle path, making sure he can keep track of Neil as well as Horechi. Big dive coming in from Rift Herald, gets this turret down, so smart trade from Sim.
And even Ryoma, he's just walked straight up mid lane, knowing that they're basing and that they have to respond to top. So he's just getting his team that next step in the tempo. He's controlling mid, and now he forces Unsold stuff to come out mid and clear this wave. He gets the base, his support's going to base. I assume that FBI bases off these Krugs as well. And they redeploy again with tempo.
But as I was saying before that happened, right, they have the Cassiopeia, they have the Varus that's built the block, and they've traded the turrets for the dragons, right? They have the Earth Dragon, they have the Infernal. So this team on USG, they will absolutely melt a Baron. If Sin set up topside and then misplay a fight or they get picked or anything like that, the Japanese team here has the ability to just instantly just burst down Baron. They do it so quickly. Cassio just picked up a Void.
And that's what I was going to say. I'm actually going to compliment the build paths that are coming out of USG right now. And actually, I hate doing it, but Ryoma, you shouldn't probably be building a Death Cap second item on Syndra. Feel like that's not the best item to go towards. I think, seeing things like seeing HP stackers like Upperman on one team who's going to be going Frozen Mallet is going to be going the Black Cleaver. You also got a Tahm Kench that's going to be stacking a little bit of health, not to mention the Warwick. I just think that Leandris is by far the superior item build at the moment.
Yeah, and I do question it because Ryoma is actually, he typically likes the Leandris. Even on Champions, he probably shouldn't buy it. I've seen him take it on Karma once or twice. So I'm not too sure what his thought process is behind that.
Well, we just got a chance to check in with the gold lead. Overall, it's about 3,000 in Sin favor, and that's 1,000 for Ryoma over Remind, and it's 2,000 for FBI over Hirachi. Upperman is only about 200 gold ahead of Dockler at the moment.
Only up ahead about 200 gold, you say, but he has a lot of priority, more than the 200 gold to flex. Interestingly, you mentioned the 4-kill Varus. He is behind, but I mean, the 50 CS more than makes up for it, as we've just seen.
He's almost got 3 items.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only the 50 CS, but when you're the person that's first brick went solely to you march top lane, you get all of that gold as well. Then you march into mid lane, you share that one with your team.
Seen him being a bit sneaky here, hiding in the fog of war. Doesn't seem anything will come from it.
But as you were talking about the Caitlyn, right, FBI is so close to hitting that 3-item spike. He's going to finish off that Zeal into a rapid fire, and then I think he hits his strongest point in the game. He hits the IE, hits the double Energizer items, as we were calling them, Static Shiv, rapid fire, and then he just does so much damage at so much range. And I think, as we saw the build just before as well, Enti's gone for a cloth armor, so he's not opting into a QSS, so he's just going to be backline Tahm Kench, I assume, looking to eat people out of the Syndra ulti.
Phantom Dancer picks up by Hirachi as well. He really wants to stay alive in these team fights.
Yeah, that's actually big. That obviously the damage mitigation he's got from that and the tabby makes he's a lot harder to kill.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, when do they come on damage-wise? I mean, I think Remine's actually got probably the highest damage build you can have at this stage of the game for the Cassiopeia because it's gone the Void Staff, so we'll be shredding through. But I'm looking at, like, Death Cap comes out. Oh, I don't like that build. I'm looking at FBI and I'm thinking, like, does he have to go towards something like a Mortal Reminder? How much of a problem is Neo going to be when he's zoning the backline? Is the Gnar ultimate, the Gnar transform going to give him enough health to be able to bully FBI? And how do you actually shut that down? So we were talking about, 3-item Caitlyn. Potentially this is a game where Executioner's Calling should be thrown in.
Yeah.
Does actually go for the QSS instead of finishing off his rapid fire. So
Everyone...
I like that.
He's worried about like maybe Cassio or Varasalt. They got the what we called as well.
I mean, the suppress is pretty big.
Yeah.
And everyone from Unsold stuff, as you mentioned, Spawn, it has a way to heal up. So those items make sense. Morellonomicon already picked up for Ryoma, so we'll do some of it for the team.
If you get him below 40% health, and I just don't feel like Ryoma should be putting his damage into Neo. So, like, Morellonomicon, sure, it's good as the team fight progresses, but at the start, you want the Mortal Reminder.
And it's all going to depend on the pick, right? We've said Sin have the pick comp. They can get the Thresh Hook, they can get the Syndra Stun. Do they get that large chunk of damage out onto, like, Neo? Maybe they can.
You can see Upperman here going towards the traditional Gnar build of Frozen Mallet into Black Cleaver. Gives him a lot of health as well as damage stats on his auto attacks.
You can see that they're waiting for Remind again. He actually goes through the jungle.
Knocked up by Juice. Ryoma's waiting for it. Can't get the stun. Remind flashes away. Won't be able to petrify him. Pops the barrier. Big damage coming out. There goes Juice. Jumps on top of him. Can't get the damage he needs. Dodges Harechi's ultimate. And Ryoma is still looking for more. Somewhere across the map, Neo's almost taken down as well.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're teleporting into the mid lane. Is this going to be the Baron call? Because Upperman has so much priority in that bottom lane. Juice burns his first smite just for some health, and we'll see whether they start it up.
Let's see if they do. It is blind.
They're absolutely committed right now. If they don't actually get anything off this, then Gnar's just going to absolutely whack away that top right. Probably look to hit the inner.
5,000 health left. They don't have ultimates on key members.
NT's here. They're going to play back. NT's forced to
nice
flash away.
Juice
Neo's
is
going to try
so
it in. Look
low.
at Juice. He's incredibly low in the backlines. Neo's already jumping in. There is a teleport coming out from the top laner of Unsold stuff. They're looking for a big fight. They already took down that bottom lane inner turret. Rogue's forced to back away. Juice is incredibly low as well.
Honestly, Juve's got so low there, and when the TP was coming in, the Baron was already resetting. I would have liked to see the cancel out of the Gnar, out of Apperman in the bot lane. He could have just kept whacking away at the inhib, probably gotten a bit of a chunk, and then held onto his TP. Doppler wouldn't have had it, and they would have had a TP advantage for the split push going forward.
They equalized the gold lead.
Yeah, I was about to say, at the end of the day, they've just equalized the gold lead. This game is back to dead even. And, I mean, say what you want about the early game and what the work Caitlyn was doing, but as this game progresses, I think USG's comp actually starts to come more and more online. We talked about Cassio already. I mean, Caitlyn is still going to be queen late game, but when you look at everything else they're bringing to the table, I mean, the Gnar versus the Renekton, I mean, even the Warwick and how it scales into the late game, this is becoming a very difficult game to win.
They're looking for a Rogue. Flash hook connects, but they're toasting other targets. Neo gets taken down straight away. Doppler's in trouble. Big petrify coming out of Remind. Juice and Ryoma forced to run away. Ryoma throws out the ultimate, flashes for Upperman. He gets out alive. Harechi has been stunned. Juice is on top of the Snake Lady herself. FBI gets that kill. Flashes forward. Auto attacks the wrong champion. Doesn't matter. The sniper lines up his sights. Not enough to take down Harechi, but still, Sin, 5 members strong, push down mid lane.
Yeah, they're looking to take turrets off the back end of this. They're not going towards Baron, potentially will still be able to get the best of both worlds. Although NT still has ultimate, and we already saw that they get very low when they try and do this. 5 seconds on Neo, they can get him towards the pit.
Let's see what they do. Sin going to start up Baron. No vision
they
coming out from Unsold
They don't want to
stuff.
contest this.
I mean, the only way they could contest is really like a steal with Neo.
Yeah.
Tahm can ulti towards the pit, and then Neo can ulti over the wall, but they have no vision, so
Nope.
completely blind, unlikely to work.
Baron picked up by Sin. They get back their gold lead and increase it further. 4,000 gold up over Unsold stuff.
And all of a sudden, FBI, I was saying Caitlyn's queen, even more queen at this stage of the game because he's just going to walk towards turrets, put down 5 traps, have Baron empowered minions, which Cassio doesn't deal with well, and this is just good pick League of Legends.
This team fight is, it starts off so nicely, and then there's that slight sense that maybe USG turn it around, but Ryoma does too much damage. He follows in. They use all of their important cooldowns, and Varus taken half his health, and they just keep chasing through. There's no way they lose this.
Honestly, you described that team fight as nice, but I thought it was a pretty iffy. The communication from Sin looked pretty wonky there. Like, Rogue had flashed, hooked the Tahm Kench, as Cassio comes in from the bottom side, and then FBI takes the Lantern up to towards the Raptor camp, so they were very split on 2 fronts, and that allowed USG to get in there.
And it probably wasn't the the play that Sin wanted to go for, but I feel like keeping Tahm Kench out of that fight means they couldn't save anyone from all that crowd control.
Yeah, and that's super important. We saw how much damage the Syndra did, and she didn't even get like a massive execute. She just got her spells out, and that was nearly enough.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, Ryoma is walking backwards off Cassio Poison, not burning, the ghost, and still manages to hit the only person with kills in Heretti with a stun just off a random sphere that's lying on the ground. I mean, his play is actually just phenomenal. Still going to question the item build, but he looks pretty impressive on the pick.
Well, Sin now sieging up bottom lane. Inhibitor turret. No turrets outside the base remain for Unsold stuff. Let's see if they try to pick a fight against Sin with this Baron buff up, because they've got a double rapid fire Caitlyn who is looking to try and siege away at this turret every single time one of those static items comes up.
And if he gets the trap line just a little bit deeper, this becomes impossible for mid-range carries to be able to really defend. You can see already, Remind is so far behind that turret. One hook, one stray orb, and you're in trouble.
I feel like that lane was their window there, right? Because on the first wave, Cassio uses the miasma, and then Caitlyn can't hit the turret because she can't take the lane out. I think on that second wave there, FBI should have walked up. The Tahm Kench was sitting below him, but who cares? It's a Tahm Kench. And Cassio didn't have the miasma. He could have just sat on Rogue's lanes and just taken pot shots to the turret, but they didn't go for it. As Cassio clears out the mid wave, he's not going to be here early. Do they get enough damage on the turret here?
This turret's going to fall. Sin already sieging away. Unsold stuff decide not to engage with the turret up. Let's see if they fight for the inhibitor at least. Sin still pushing further forward. Unsold stuff jockeying for some form of position to fight this team. Look at FBI, happy to just chip away at turrets. One shot onto Remind, chunks it down to about half health.
I mean, that was a headshot. That's not a chip anymore. With the crit build, of course, you don't do that much. Like, you do good damage to structures, you do better damage to champions.
No one would take that to the face.
Again, moving up his traps, making sure that Remind can't stay on the right side of that inhibitor. Chipping away, does have Dark Passage to get out, and that's clean from Sin.
Yeah, and now they head to base, and they've made a reasonable dent in the armor of Unsold stuff. They've cracked the base, they've got the inhib down. This reset, they come back, they get the remaining items they can afford. They come out topside, and they already have that 6-man pushing bot lane for them.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. The bottom lane inhibitor is crucial in any game. But in a game where you're losing the split push, it becomes even more crucial to continue that pressure, because all of a sudden, Upperman, who was the last remaining, 1v1 point of the map that could potentially stretch this one out, play hero in that 1-4, is actually, fighting super creeps, which he's annoying to deal with as a champion, but doesn't actually do all that much damage to creeps.
It's just the last plug in your leaky boat, right? Like, it's the only thing they've got going for them, and then the super creeps are just going to come up trumps.
They lock him down. Everyone's flashing for it. Neo is a dead man walking as Ryman picks up that kill.
Like that from Dockler. He was like, I'm going to get this kill. I'm going to save all my abilities until the last moment, and I'm going to come away with a good KDA. Didn't work, but I respect the attitude.
Interesting thing we haven't touched on, Juves has actually gone for the Oceanic Nightspout Rek'Sai build, so put that on FBI.
Yeah, so we've actually, Schoenfire's kind of said that, he isn't necessarily friends with anyone else in the OPL, but he has in the past, helped Juves, and he's going to help his team where he can. So Schoenfire definitely started that build from what I know. So it doesn't surprise me to see that Juves also picking up the Knights now.
So Unsold stuff, slowly chipping at FBI. Hook comes out, Anti will eat up the Gnar, make sure he stays safe. Turret is at half health, and Remind is throwing in Twin Fangs into anyone who's close by.
Dockler's just hitting mid turret. They have so much pressure across these 3 lanes that, this is a very, very shaky ship for Unsold Stuff Gaming. Can they hold it?
And I mean, this is just the waiting game for Sin.
Roma waiting for something. He actually gets jumped on. They try to lock it down. Roma is a dead man. Hirachi goes unstoppable. And again, the LJL freight train. As soon as one person says go, everyone follows up.
And that is a do or die call. Bottom lane is pushing in. They were continually funneling waves towards mid, towards top. And all of a sudden, they get the one play that actually relieves all of that pressure.
And I was mid-sentence saying this is the waiting game for Sin, waiting for that bot wave to crash in with the supers, right? They had one more wave to go. USG had one more wave to make the play, and they absolutely made the play onto Ryoma. Flash in the Cassio ulti, flash with the Warwick ulti, get the pick, and it's really going to stall the game out for them, and that's exactly what they needed.
And that's fantastic for USG, because what that allows them to do now is it means, one, they get this Ocean Drake. Yeah, kind of irrelevant.
Pick it over to an Elder, though. That's good.
Yeah.
Huge, actually, in that sense. But more importantly, they get that respite to push out their waves again now that Baron's not in minute 30. They get some semblance of control over the map. They force Sin away from their base, and now this Baron becomes a little bit more contestable.
And this is how teams like Direwolves generally set up their second Baron, is they don't allow a reprieve on the map, and then they know that the Baron is clear, that there's no cheeky teleport wards, that no one can get in behind them.
Yeah, knowing your window of when Baron's spawning and how much time it will take for the opposing team to regain control of their own jungle and then, get further vision into Baron, a flank ward behind them as well. They definitely do have that, at least in OPL.
And best ward in the game,
Yeah.
because no one sweeps top of Baron Pit.
Yeah.
We just know it does not happen. Juves is going to start at the bottom, and he's going to walk towards it. Nah, of course. Took the scenic route.
As soon as he placed that wall, we both looked up and just made eye contact. That ward is not dying. They're going to pink the middle of the pit. Someone's going to pink the dot bush, and Juves may just pink this bush he's sitting in right now. And when they set up for this Baron, that ward just on the top side, you see on the left-hand side of your screen. We'll see if Sin started up or not, but they're just looking to push in the top side of the map here.
I mean, I don't hate this. Play the lanes. You've got a Caitlyn. You've got a Rek'Sai. Engaging onto this composition without flashes especially is going to be difficult. Play around your strengths.
And Na is nowhere near a turret right now, right? So they have a few waves to play with. Renekton, even though he has TP, he loses the split, so he is just grouping 5v5 with his team. They're looking to take pot shots at this top turret right now.
Those traps really need to be
That's
deeper.
going to fall. That's going to fall there. FBI works to the minion wave. We'll get that one. So big push coming out from Sin. Scary thing is it's only a 4,000 gold lead that separates these two teams, and we are 33 minutes into the match.
But as you said, we were talking about this ward, right? This is now a perfect flank forward for Apperman if they want it right now. Sin backing off. He did base, so I think the bot wave is actually pushing out for Sin. I think it has rebounded. So it's got to work in their
It's got super
favor.
minions, so that should push
yeah.
out. And they're going for a fight. They've actually locked down the Tahm Kench. Enti will survive for a bit longer, but he's out of the fight for now. Instead, Neo's the target for Sin. Ryoma still looking for a stun.
Big
Double
stun.
stun comes out. Dockler dices in. Upperman taking a lot of damage, but they turn it around. Neo gets that kill. Good grounded to stop Sin from advancing any further forward. Enti low. Neo so low. Juves throws out the Prey Seeker. Can't quite find him. They're throwing Tahm Kench back to base, and Sin try to start Baron.
Yeah, is knocking the jungler that low enough to get this Baron? That is a big question. You can see trying to lifesteal, actually back to about a quarter health. This is risky.
Tahm Kench coming with ultimate. He's procking it now. It's at half health now. Unsold stuff still keeping in this fight. Neo wants a part of it. Upperman flash in. Can't get a big gnar
Hook on
off.
Cassio.
Hook on Cassio. Cleanses out. Enti eats him up. FBI gets back in towards the blue buff side. USG and Sin back off for now.
I can't do this again. I can't
Asia
do it.
wants to see this all of tomorrow.
Absolutely. This is the game I live for.
I
man.
swore after the Chiefs versus Bangkok Titan series I would never do this again. And yet I still am believing in Oceania in an international tournament.
They're starting up Baron again, and they are confident here. They know Na's base, and they think that he has to deal with the waves.
Well, raise your koalas. They're about to look for another fight here. Teleport coming in from Dockler. They had spotted out by Unsold stuff, so he's just going to get towards this Baron Pit in time.
They have to
Apperman
force.
does have teleports. Juves is
so
very
low.
low. Below 1,000 health on
Get
the
out,
tank.
boys.
Neo's coming in. He's looking for a fight. Teleport coming in from Upperman as well. Sid, this is not a great fight for them. Unsold stuff made him pick the perfect window. They lock down Dockler. He's trying to dice out, gets over to one, still gets killed. And Ryoma off the back of that as well. Unsold stuff now moves towards Baron. But look at their base. It's in shambles at the moment.
I mean, but they're going to be able to get Baron. They're going to have the empowered recalls, and they will get back. This is absolutely horrible for Sin Gaming.
Sin are trying to stop this. FBI wants to chip away at everyone from Unsold stuff. Neo is going back. The rest of Unsold stuff looking for a fight. FBI trying to lifesteal, gets a big headshot on towards the Snake Lady. Throws out the Peacemaker. Not going to be enough. People are still trying to recall. Enti has to eat up the Cassiopeia, and a big arrow flies through the last three members to deter them any further forward.
They're just delaying the bases, though, and they're so close in getting, almost both those inhibitors. 80% on the first, half on the second. But it is really important that Unsold stuff got that Baron. I think Sin maybe see that victory line in sight. Just really unlucky in that sense. Well, I mean, not unlucky. Really well played for Unsold Stuff Gaming. Sad that they couldn't hold their composure a little bit, maybe reset for that Baron. But, it's far from over.
Yeah, it certainly is. But the big thing for me is this Baron timing is crucial. You've got two inhibitors that are very low, but you're winning the split push still, and Elder Drake is only a minute 30 away. This is a game now where you can push out your lanes with Baron, you can get in a good shop, and then you can actually fight for the Drake in a fair 5v5 for the first time in a very long time. And when Sin are running into them, they have a fantastic comp of dealing with it. Varus, Cassiopeia, you do not want to be running at these champions head on.
Conversely, Unsold stuff can't run into Sin. So, this will be a really interesting fight.
But that's why I think that it's important that they have the Baron and that they're going to be able to shove out waves and they will get to Elder Drake first. Because I completely agree. I mean, if Sin had to set up, traps across river and had a better, way to approach that Baron, they should have been able to take it. But now with Baron, the shoe's on the other foot.
And I mean, the Baron from Sin, it just seems like their old weaknesses coming back to bite them in the arse, right? Sin are the team in Oceania that have been called like the Sin ARAM and et cetera, right? Like they looked for the flank tip hit with Dockler and then didn't get it, and then their side lanes weren't good. The mid was shoving all the way into the inner turret, and then they were just forced in this situation where they don't care about side lanes, they don't care about macro, they just want to brute force the fight, and then they just got completely roasted for it, really. Lost the fight, lost Baron, and then disaster struck.
Well, we're getting into the territory of 6 items now. We already see FBI's picked up all 6 of his, but he hasn't gone for the Mortal Reminder. Instead, Lord Dominic's Regard. So there's not going to be enough healing mitigation coming up besides that Morellonomicon now.
I mean, yeah, I think that there's definitely the argument for the Mortal Reminder. I think that we saw in those last sort of fights, he's already doing a large amount of damage, and the Mortal Reminder is not useless. It's still going to chip through a lot of the armor. I don't think that it's going to matter too much. It's going to be definitely based on position. You know, who's getting into these fights and where are they?
Yeah, I think that if he was going to go for the item, it should have been the 4th item pickup. He went for the QSS, so I actually don't mind that he went for maximum damage. I think that when you get to 6 items, maximum damage becomes the name of the game. If Warwick gets onto you to lifesteal tank, I mean, you've kind of already screwed up somewhere along the line as FBI at the moment. If he's dueling out the Warwick, that's not going to make the difference now. During the mid game would have been nice. Late game, Lord Doms just does exponentially more damage.
And now the gold lead is completely tied up between these two teams. USG have Baron buff to work with for the next 3 minutes as well, so you can kind of expect them to acquire a little bit more of a lead. Gold doesn't really matter at this point in the game, but team compositions definitely do.
But I mean, like, you're talking about 6 items, and we were mentioning earlier, Cassio, 6 item, best champion in the game. So looking like they're in a good position moving forward. Yeah, this is one of those stabilization Barons, right, where we talk about where they've got the Baron, stabilize the map, push out, get to scale up a little bit, and then maybe the next Baron or the next Elder, as you were talking about, will be the fight that wins the game or the buff that wins the game.
And Elder is going to be huge, right? We've seen that the Mountain Drake and the Infernal Drake got onto Unsold Stuff Gaming, and that Elder Dragon, you know, nearly useless for Sin. They will have to contest it just to keep it off Unsold Stuff.
I mean, you got 2 options, right? You either don't contest it and try and force top side of the map and pick up an inhibitor and then stall out through the fact that Upperman's going to be pushing into super creeps and you're just going to try and stall, or you take the fight and then it becomes really...
That's a 50-50 call, but honestly, like, if I'm Sin, or sorry, not if I'm Sin, like, I think Sin, like, they could potentially just make that decision, right? Like, they're not a team that would back away from a 50-50.
They're going to fight them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what they decide to do. They're in fog of war at the moment, finally spotted out by Scrying Orbs, and they're behind Unsold Stuff. Narrowly misses Neo there with that spear.
Bum. It was so close.
I mean, to answer the question, right, we saw them all run out of base and they sprinted to drop 15 wards in the bottom side of, like, River. So we know where their priorities lie. But, you know, as we raised, Apperman is a problem with these 2 cannon minions baroned up. Definitely a big threat.
Yeah, and he's 2 levels higher. Yeah. I mean, he's now 2,500 gold up. That's pretty much a completed item in there in form of an adaptive helm, which means that he's no longer a great choice to ultimate. You don't even really need to eat him anymore.
Yeah, Dockler's not in a good position to try and fight him either, 2 levels down and a full item behind the Gnar as well. In fact, he's gone back to base and picked up a Chain Vest. So it's a very tanky Gnar in late game. Can do a lot in these team fights.
And I mean, Dockler's just accepted his fate and he's built magic resist to the Cassio in the team fight sort of thing. Like, he knows he has no chance matching Apperman in the side lane.
He's only got single damage item as well. He's a pure tank stun bot at the moment. Let's see what he can do, because Unsold Stuff, they're trying to start up Elder Dragon here.
They do it quickly, Fish. I mean, they've pulled it out of the pit. It's already down. Look how quickly this dragon falls down.
Rhymer wanted to go back to base. He is low on mana at the moment and now only just starting to join the fight. Dockler looking to go in. There's a lantern to bring him into the pit. Big stun coming out from Remind. Instantly goes to the Zonias. And Upperman, Nas, 3 people into the wall. FBI's are sitting duck. Rhymer is going to fall. Only uses his ultimate on a poor target there. Unsold Stuff Gaming are wiping the floor with Oceania's hopes and dreams.
And that is game. The LJL has just locked in the #1 seed in Rift Rivals. They're going to get into game 4. Ejim gets his Rift. Oceania is going to have to battle it through the King of the Hill. What a team fight.
My goodness, they clawed it back. 4,000 gold behind, 2 inhibitors down, and it looked like this was Sin's game to take. They can't continue the Cinderella story. And my goodness, LGD have gone from the dark horse to the best team in this tournament.
And this is a victory lap down mid lane. You know, they get through the 2 turrets, the inhibitor, 2 more turrets, and then they take out the Nexus. And, you know, from what was a really, really slow, sort of sloppy start, I guess you could argue, and Sin having complete control, Unsold Stuff come up trumps.
And just questionable at the end of that. Sin looking for the Elder Dragon fight in such poor positions, and they try to take it. And you can see how devastated they look at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a tough loss. I mean, when you have the game, when you have a Caitlyn a complete item ahead, and you take a couple of silly fights, you know that you've messed up. I mean, they know that straight away. I mean, those ones are tough, and hopefully they've got the resilience to bounce back.
And I mean, especially on the champions they got, right? Like Rogue on Thresh, SBI and Caitlyn Ryoma on the Syndra. Those are comfort picks, and in the OPL, Rogue was getting Thresh and then immediately saying, like, you should be banning my Thresh. You've lost this game, right? Like, and now he's lost on his best champion at his first international event. This is a situation where you said LJL have just like dashed Oceania's hopes and dreams. This is just the group stage. I'm excited for the King of the Hill. I think they can bounce back.
And silver lining, right? So Sin had a very good performance for the first 20-something minutes of that game, right? And now they've got a few key points they can take away. As EG mentioned before, they needed to wait that one extra wave when they had Baron control. That's a simple like fix to look at review tonight. They can come, like they can hold their heads high, I think, and they come in tomorrow pretty strong.
But at the opposite side of the coin, I mean, you have to look at the LGL. This is a team that has never got past a wild card or play-in stage. I mean, they went into last MSI play-ins, they went 1-5. I mean, they were not happy with their performance. They keep getting thrown in there as a dark horse, as the teams that will step up. Well, it's finally happened.
Yeah.
I mean, USG, Detonation Focus Me, both of those teams have gone 2-0. And Rampage beat the Marines. This is such a good tournament for the Japanese server.
It is. And this is probably one of the first international tournaments where they've come in and people have not gone, yeah, you know, they're the dark horse. A lot of people have come and said this is the third place team. We don't expect too much from them. Now they're finishing group stages 5-1. One thing I really want to touch on now is Oceania have to go up against the elimination mode against Southeast Asia, which has Gigabyte Marines as their #1 seed. I mean, if they were seeded directly into the finals, they could have avoided that, but that seems like a very tough game.
This is what I wanted, honestly. Like, the Gigabyte Marines, like, this is the chopping block. You have third versus third, and then third versus second, and you get to first place, and then the Gigabyte Marines are just standing there, and they're just like, all right, come on, let's go.
It's the
like,
final
it's my
boss
time
battle.
to shine. Just like...
You don't even get save points in between. I hate games like that. Every
Oh boy. So that's going to be a gruesome match. So tomorrow's matches will be Oceania taking on the GPL in that elimination mode. LJL finishing group stages 5-1, only dropping a game to the Direwolves. Impressive performance, and they rightfully deserve that first seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, coming from the LGL, right, like you've seen Rampage and you've seen Dead FM at these international tournaments before, but then Unsold Stuff Gaming are the team in the end that clinches the victory for them, right? Like they're the team that are relatively unknown on the international stage. The other two have been around for a while, been to wildcards, and they come up trumps. They come up with a victory that they needed to see them straight into the finals, skip the middle stage of the tournament, and they're just going to be sitting in the grand finals waiting for Oceania and...
But we have said, you know, that they are close in that 1, 2, 3, and so it makes sense, you know, region versus region. Japan and the LJL have come together really strong, and you know, credit where credit's due.
Yeah, so for now we get to take a look at today's results. After a second day of gruesome group stages, Sin picked up a win to kick things off against Mineski. Rampage were able to defy all odds and take down Gigabyte Marines. Ascension then lost to Legacy to keep Oceania's dreams alive, which was then crushed by Unsold Stuff Gaming.
And we're back to 5-4 red side, blue side. So, you know, throw everything else we said out and we said in the A block. This is a very even patch at the moment. I mean, it comes down to team comp and execution on Summoner's Rift. And that's all you want. As a team, you don't want to feel like, you know, what side of the rift you're starting on is going to determine the outcome of the game. It's just how they're playing. And the LJL played the most consistent League of Legends throughout every stage of this tournament.
Yeah, they definitely didn't have like a weak link that you're like, you know, they're going to lose your game. And it's on this team to carry you through, which is, you know, maybe where GPL sit and possibly where Oceania sits too. They have a lot more rounded.
Who's the kid that's like, you're going to lose for O's? Who's that?
I mean, everyone from most has gone 1-1 in this tournament so far.
Coming into this tournament,
like, who is
into this tournament, I do not believe many people had very high expectations of Sin.
No.
And you know, they've played above their domestic standard, so that's fantastic. But you know, no one was like looking at this one. No one was looking at this and being like, you know what, Sin are going to come through and just like they're going to win that King of the Hill. They're going to come first and beat Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. They're currently 5th. I think they lost the rematch against AV, and they haven't looked fantastic. And at the same time, they had full extra week of scrims. Dockler looks better than he did in the OPL, and Joseph's turned some form around. So their good players are still playing well, and then the people that needed to pick it up have picked it up.
Well, let's take a look at the road to the finals for Rift Rivals 2017. First up, tomorrow, it'll be the GPL taking on the OPL in an elimination tournament where the third seed teams will play against each other all the way until every single team has lost a game. The winner of that goes on to Thursday to face off against the LJL in a different format, where every single seed will play each other once, with the second and the first seed playing each other twice.
Yeah, and I mean, this is such a cool format because all of a sudden you get to see regional strength pitted against each other. How good, I mean, if Sin wins again against their third seed in the GPL, I mean, how far do they go? I mean, do they take out Ascension in that second place? Can they have a crack at the Gigabyte Marines? Because this is where you start getting a really crucial international experience.
What's really exciting is that we've always had the top team go overseas to play against the other top team, and then you have all these little bickering back and forth, being like, oh, but the second place team here's better, and the second and third, and if we went, we'd be better. Now we actually get to see, how deep is each region's strength.
And I guess this is going to be a real throwback for the OPL fans. Back at Autumn Regionals, I remember being on Legacy and sitting in a room drafting against Chiefs, then Immunity, right? And this is where region versus region, 3 teams coming together. They really have to put it all online. They really have to work together to beat the opponents, share strategies, even though I guess, we're 3 weeks into the OPL.
Who cares? Throw it out the window.
Yeah, that's
tournament.
international tournament. I think this has been Sin and Juice specifically's dream for so long. He's been talking about it so much. This is their time, and they've made it here, and they're going to be looking to work with the other OPL teams to bring out the win.
That's a question. Who's it more sweet for? I mean, Carbon, who got to taste it once and then never go back there, or Juves that has been wanting it for such a long time? I mean, both of those players are I'm telling you right now, Legacy and Sin are going to be pushing each other incredibly hard to get to this.
If I had to pick, I would say Juves, though, just because he's more vocal. Just because Carbon will shut up every now and again, but Juves won't. He will tell you every single time that, this is it, right? And so, absolutely, he's made it. And looking forward to the games tomorrow. I don't know. I've said it 3 times during this broadcast, right? The format. I'm really excited for this third versus third, second versus third. See how deep things go.
Well, speaking of which, we'll be able to take a look at those games for tomorrow. It is going to be that elimination format. Oceania will take on the GPL. So starting it off, it will be Mineski taking on Sin. The winner stays to face up against the opposition second seed. So if Mineski pick up a win here, they go on to play Legacy. If they win that, they go on to play Direwolves. If they win that, it's a 3-0 sweep, and they move straight on to the grand final. So they drop a game, Ascension steps in, and then Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, and I mean, this is this format that the Marines would be happy about.
Ooh.
I mean, no more reliance on your other teams. You can win a best of 3 if you want against Oceania. They've done it before in the past. They're going to look to just step up and provide that final boss battle. And as far as the OPL team goes, they need to hope that they keep that consistency.
Yep.
Because if one of them slip up, if they don't get 3 shots at the Marines, it does not look like it's going to be an easy day for the Oceanic Pro League.
No. Yeah, and as you say, getting those 3 shots, I really want to see them start, make Gigabyte Marines show you more. Maybe we lose the first 2 games in Sin and Legacy, and then by the 3rd game, Direwolves have the draft completely figured out, and Direwolves stay blind to it. I think we need that extra information. And I say we, obviously the biased Oceanic guy, but no, it will be exciting to see.
Biased. I mean, there is a Reddit thread already, get these guys off camera. They've talked about the Oceanic region all day.
Yep.
/OPL, guys. We're on the right channel.
Oh, goodness. Well, for now, let's take a look. We're actually not going to take a look. Let's check in with Juves, and speaking of Oceanic Biners, who is standing by with Hingers right now for an interview.
Hey guys, I'm here with Juves, and a tough loss for Sin and the OPL right now.
Yeah, I just want to apologise. If we win that game, we get first seed, so I'm just sorry to everyone.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, there's not much else to say.
Yeah. It felt like you guys had a control over the game, and then kind of just things went awry. What was going through your mind during those Baron calls?
I don't know. We just it's just that mentality where you need Baron to win the game when you don't. If we just siege the inhibs that were open, they can't do shit. Well, sorry for swearing, but we were 8k up or whatever it was, or 7k. I don't know how much it was, but we could have just closed the game out, and yeah, we didn't.
All right. Well, OS is still in the tournament, and we'll be playing tomorrow. So, what do you guys got planned between now and then to reset and refocus on maybe taking the tournament tomorrow?
I'll probably just watch the games, and kind of pinpoint the right way to end the game, and not just throw. We could probably just play baseball. Honestly, that's how hard we threw the game. So it just feels bad.
All right. Well, a tough loss for Sin and the OPL. Thank you for speaking to us, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
And you can tell how emotional the man is, apologizing to his fans for the loss there, knows that it was a simple mistake, as you pointed out, just that really costed them the game then. They just really want to reset for tomorrow.
Just going to jump in quickly. Juves, don't watch the games. I mean, you've just legitimately solved your own problem there of how to set up the map. Watching the game is just reopening the wound way too early. I mean, go have a good dinner, talk to your teammates, back up it again tomorrow.
Disagree. I think if you want to be a tough competitor, you have to take that loss and just take it, take it full on. Rewatch the game, find your mistakes. I don't know. I feel like that's.
I feel sorry for the
I
Chiefs.
have-
All of a
No, no,
sudden,
no.
I am so happy I'm not Chiefs for.
I have felt-
Just
I have-
behind them with the belt, lad.
No, I have felt that heartbreak, and feeling sorry for yourself now is not the way to go.
Whilst I mean, I agree with Jish, actually. Like, you should watch that. But you said you got to take the loss. Like, Juves looks like he's taken the loss right now. That was a very,
yeah.
that was a very different interview than we've ever seen from Juves before, sort of thing. So coming into tomorrow, like, I was really excited for these games. Now I'm kind of nervous. Like, Sin, like, they're a team that they really need to reset. They really need to bounce back because, as you saw, they're a very emotional team. They rally behind Juves as a leader. He is the veteran on that squad. He needs to rally the troops
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, they look like they were able to do it easy against the GPL squad. I mean, I just think that it's such a risk to put them back through that. I mean, that's like, you've got if this is a player, like 5 players that have been internationally over and over again, sure, you got 3 rookies on that lineup. There is a good chance that you're like, this is what you did wrong, this is what you did wrong. Then they just play scared and they lose another game for it. I mean, I think that, agree to disagree, but that's a big risk that I don't know if I would take.
Well, tomorrow we'll tell the tale of how well they do up against the GPL squad, but really want to touch on the LJL game because they were the victors of the group stage, 5-1, dropping a single match, and that was only to the Direwolves. The number 1 seed took down the favorites of Gigabyte Marines in this tournament. The other two, 2-0, and looked fantastic. And they talked about it in interviews. They're all working together, they're getting along really well, and it's paid off, and that's fantastic for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're just a region that doesn't have a weak spot right now, right? They come in, they've all won games, they've all rallied behind each other, as you said, working together. And I think, they've just come up trumps. And I mean, like, they're seeded straight into the grand final. Like, they've made it, and they get to sit back tomorrow and just watch teams battle out in this format where they get to see potentially like every team play, right? Like they can see absolutely everything from their hotel room tomorrow, watching the games. They get to practice, they get to scrim.
And the big thing is that Dead FM looks like the best seed for a 2 versus 2 matchup right now. They won their games pretty convincingly. And on the final day, if it goes to 5 games, they're going to get to play twice. And ultimately, they're going to get to decide it for the LJL. So you'd have to say that right now, USG, who went 2-0, they'll probably pick up game 1. I mean, Rampage doesn't even have to beat Marines again now for this tournament to go over to the LJL. And that has to be a pretty sweet feeling.
It certainly is. For now, though, we can actually check in with Unsold Stuff's mid laner Remind, who is standing by with Hingers.
Hey guys, I'm here with Remind, who has just picked up that victory for the LJL. Congratulations on the win. You guys went behind early in the game, so talk me through fighting back and your mentality towards the latter stages of the game.
일단 게임을 시작했을 때 초반에 조금 밀리고 있었잖아요. 이게 근데 그 게임에서 다시 역전하게 될 때까지 어떠한 마음가짐을 준비를 했는지.
우선 맨 처음으로 드리고 싶은 말은 축하한다는 말 감사하고요. 저희가 맨 처음에 조금 실수로 인해 제가 좀 시작이 좋지 않았어요. 많이 불리했다는 걸 인지하고 있었는데 그래도 하지만 저희 팀은 좀 저력이 있는 팀이라 생각하고 정말 한시도 정말 방심하지 않고 집중해가지고 이렇게 좋은 결과가 나올 수 있던 것 같습니다.
So thank you for your congratulations, and then due to some mistakes, they were fall behind in the beginning. However, I believe that our team is good and we have enough power to come back in the end. So we were keep focusing and we tried not to make a single mistake afterwards. So I think that's the reason that we could come back in the end.
Tell me about the Warwick pick. Is this something that is common in the LJL? For people who haven't watched a lot of the LJL, it's not a standard pick that people see a lot internationally.
그 워윅 픽에 대해서 조금 이제 말씀해 주실 수 있을까? 아니면 혹시 뭐 LJL에서는 워윅이 메타 픽이라던가 아니면은 약간 준비된 픽이라던가 어떤 건지.
우선 워윅 같은 경우에는 좀 LJL에서 유행하진 않고요. 네오 선수가 개인적인 생각으로 좋다고 많이 생각해가지고 선택을 기용을 많이 해가지고 이렇게 좋은 결과가 나온 것 같습니다. 이건 개인적으로 그냥 네오 선수의 생각이에요.
So he says that basically even Warwick is not actually a common pick in LJL either. However, in Neo's perspective, the jungler's perspective, he thinks he's a pretty good champion overall. So he prefers to pick it many times, and it seems like, basically the reason we picked the Warwick is thanks to the Neo's idea, and then it came out with a good result, and it's actually a good thing.
All right. Well, finally, now you guys the number 1 seed. If you could choose to play either the OPL or the GPL in 2 days' time, if you could decide that, who would you pick?
만약에 이제 GPL과 OPL 중에 지금 준결승전을 하게 됐잖아요. GPL과 OPL 중에 한 팀을 골라야 한다면, 경기해야 될 상대를 골라야 한다면 어디를 고르고 싶나요?
정말 경악스러운 질문이네요. 전 그러니까 두 리그 다 강점이 있고 단점이 있다 생각했는데 오늘 그러니까 오세아니아 리그에 대한 강점을 또 느꼈고 베트남도 강점이 있다 생각하기 때문에 고르기엔 저한테 너무 힘든 질문이네요. 둘 다 만나기가 너무 싫네요. 저는 고르지 못하겠고 그냥 운에 맡기겠습니다.
So he thinks it's pretty difficult questions to answer. So like he believes that both of the leagues has their own pros and cons, and today actually he found that the strong point of the Australia, and then he already know that about the very strong point of the Vietnam team also. So he will say it's very hard question for me to answer. Honestly, I wish to avoid both of them. So I will just put it on the nature's law, like nature's chosen.
Excellent. All right. Well, congratulations again on today, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 days' time in the final. Thank you.
Very humble coming out and remind them. I mean, LGL just went 5-1. They're still saying they don't want to face either Oceania or the GPL because of how strong they are. I knew you had a couple of things to say.
Yeah,
as well,
and I mean, I have one thing to say. I just want to say that the best thing about that interview is he's coming fresh off a win and he's just absolutely alphaing Hingers on the microphone. And he's trying to hold in front of him and he's just like, this is your mic. And he's like, no, that's mine. Great stuff there from the interview. LGL going straight into the finals, looking great.
Yeah, they certainly are. And with that, as Bryce has mentioned, they will be heading to the finals. Tomorrow, though, we will have the King of the Hill, GPL, taking on the OPL. But that's all from us here tonight. Thanks to Spawn, Jish, as well as EJM, our entire production crew, and everyone watching at home. We'll see you guys tomorrow. They get a hook onto Rogue. He's probably going to fall here. Heel's been popped, but still first blood picked up by the Caitlyn. And top side now, they get a stun going down to Dockler. That's 2 kills from Neski so early into the game. Looking for a fight. FBI has been caught up by Kaigu. Bear trap on the rope. Connects. Will pull him back slightly, but they knock him back. Kaigu already knocked off Skull. Juves forced to flash away though. Curtain Call not going to connect on the priority target. Mineski still have to fight with their backs against a wall. Literally, big root coming out from Rogue. He picks up one for himself. Juice pops out of nowhere on top of Exo. Ryoma flashes into the backlines. Gets hooked back. TG forces him to dodge a Cocoon. And only Hummus is left up with Zed, who has somehow wandered away. Dockler still chasing him down in the backlines. Going to dive between 2 turrets, wandering a little bit. And Sin pick up a massive team fight. Ryoma looking to cut him off with a wall. Cuts off one member, just TG. Zendo just gets deleted from Summoner's Rift. What the heck was that? Suddenly the rest of Mineski are forced to back off. They lose their jungler. They lose their support, and Sin march towards the base. FBI tries to go toe-to-toe, flashes on top of him, locks him down with captive audience. Dockler will die to a turret somewhere. Exo is trying his absolute hardest. TG's coming back up. He's picked up 2 kills. FBI's running out of bullets. Will get the crit shot on the Nexus, and will pick up the game for Oceania. Get a block out of that for bottom lane. Gigabyte Marines are fighting and Sia taking quite a bit of damage. Darren's charging on forward. Winter's Spike does not connect. And first blood is picked up by the Japanese support. Rampage are making another play here to try and take Baron. That's already taken out solo. Optimus trying to kick them inside the pit. Does so successfully. Baron's low. Levi's flashing quite soon, but doesn't get it. Tussle gets the kill and the Baron. Optimus falls shortly after. No way is trying to escape this one. There's nowhere out from this team fight. Rampage already picking up 3 kills.
And Darura is an absolute monster. Another double kill coming in for the support. No way, still trying to roll.
Dara, can he take this one too? Can't even gets the shutdown. 4 kills for Rampage. And Gigabyte Marines looking for this one. Cleanse used by nowhere to get back into this one. Yutori taking so much damage and will get locked down for Winter's Spy. Here's Archie with big stunts in the back lines. Rampage don't have their top laner. And one by one they fall to the Marines. Double kill for the cannon. 4 members of the Marines down there pushing for the Nexus.
I mean, no way is the only one alive, and he might die as well.
He's grounded, he can't hop, skip, or jump. Ace picked up by Ramune in the mid lane. Rampage have done it. They've taken down the favourites at Rift Rivals here, and they will put Japan one step closer to making it to day 4. This will do has been, but look at this. Warlock's in cornered. Is that going to be first blood? It is. Picked up by Claire in the mid lane. What the heck just happened?
And
ultimate
just might be now.
I think it did get dodged out by Low, but still gets locked down by the Zyro. Nooney's on top of Cupcake. Gets a kill from Lost. Not enough to keep him locked down. Warlock gets that kill. Tally's here. G-Force here. Everyone's piling on in for a big fight. Bottom lane. Nooney flashes out. Carbon in trouble. Does get taken out. Double kill for the Lulu. Legacy is still trying to fight this one. 3 on 5. They get a return kill onto Redmond. And G4 jumps jumps in. Big W proc, locks down Claire. He's been turned into a little critter. Lost, gets tanked by the cannon minion. One more shot would kill him. Lloyd's charging forward. Tally wants to fight again. That's a big scrappy fight bot lane. And Cupcake is very wounded, and Legacy are taking out Baron. There's the arrow going in. He still gets it. Carbon smites it away while stunned up. Lost will take down the AD carry. G-Force being locked down again. Deja vu for the mid laner. Double kill coming up for Lost. He's found some for himself. Redridge trying to run away. Tally locks him down. Big triple kill for the Varus, and Legacy are on their way to a victory. And G-Force looking to try and get an assassination. Well, look at Nooney. He's already dead. Claire will actually fall, but everyone in the back line just gone. Big cataclysm being popped down by Tally. Only G-Force left. He watches as the rest of this squad gets absolutely murdered by the Oceanic lineup, and Legacy will be able to keep the Oceanic hopes and dreams alive.
I mean, they've just absolutely wiped the floor with Ascension. Legacy finally able to get that big international performance, and they seize it with both hands.
And they jump onto Neo first. Doppler taking a lot of damage. Slices away from the stun. He still gets speared up. He has to back out somehow. First blood is picked up by the Na'Vi. Neo heals up. This is going in favor of Unsold Stuff Gaming. Throws out the boulder. Double kill picked up by Na. Big outplay from Unsold Stuff.
That is...
Sin might try and brute force this one. Hook lands into a trap, into the flame, knock him as well. He didn't eat him. Enti couldn't save him, and FBI gets the kill. Neo trying to track them out. Hook doesn't land from rope, but does play him back. Fear's going to come out. Teleports are coming in. They have jumped on towards Ryoma. There is a dark passage there, but he can't get on in time. Doppler's got a deep flank, but he doesn't have his mid laner to work with. Still going in. He's on top of Harachi. Stuns up the Na, looking for a kill there. Will dice out to get a big hook onto the Warwick as well. Neo gets eaten up. Big snipe coming out Harachi to get him from the back lines. Neo still going in. So much healing coming out of the Warwick, and he's being grounded. Big snipe from FBI. Can't get to the dark passage again, but Harachi goes big and gets a triple kill. Flash hook connects, but they're toasting other targets. Neo gets taken down straight away. Doppler's in trouble. Big petrify coming out of Remind. Juice and Roma forced to run away. Roma throws out the ultimate, flashes for Upperman. He gets out alive. Harachi has been stunned. Juice is on top of the Snake Lady herself. FBI gets that kill. Flashes forward. Auto attacks Rogue Champion. Doesn't matter. The sniper lines up his sights. Not enough to take down Harachi, but still, Sin 5 members strong. Push down mid lane. Yeah, Neo's coming in. He's looking for a fight. Teleport coming in from Upperman as well. Sid, this is not a great fight for them. Unsold Stuff made him pick the perfect window. They lock down Doppler. He's trying to dice out. Gets over to one. Still gets killed. And Ryoma off the back of that as well. Unsold Stuff now move towards Baron. But look at their base. It's in shambles at the moment.
I mean, but they're going to be able to get Baron. They're going to have the empowered recalls, and they will get back. This is absolutely horrible for Sin Gaming.
Sin are trying to stop this. FBI wants to chip away at everyone from Unsold Stuff. Neo is going back. The rest of Unsold Stuff looking for a fight. FBI trying to lifesteal. Gets a big headshot on towards the Snake Lady. Throws out the Peacemaker. Not going to be enough. Now only just starting to join the fight. Doppler looking to go in. There's a Lantern to bring him into the pit. Big stun coming out from Remind. Instantly goes into Zonia's. And Upperman. Nas 3 people into the wall. FBI just sitting duck. Ryoma is going to fall. Only uses his ultimate on a poor target there. Unsold Stuff Gaming are wiping the floor with Oceania's home's entry.
And that is game. The LJL has just locked in the #1 seed in Rift Rivals. They're going to get into game 4. Egypt gets his Rift. Oceania is going to have to battle it through the King of the Hill. What a team fight.
And this is a victory lap down mid lane. You know, they get through the 2 turrets, the inhibitor, 2 more turrets, and then they take out the Nexus. And you know, from what was a really, really slow, sort of sloppy start, I guess you could argue, and Sin having complete control, Unsold Stuff come up tough.